performing. He probably had his worst split in his entire career. For whatever reason, he came back into Worlds, he pulls out his Zac, he now shows up on the Xin Zhao. This is a Ning we haven't seen in 8 weeks.
In the game of feast or feed between Ning and Hylissang, it appears that Hylissang came out on the feed side more than the feast this time around. But again, we did talk about these two players as being somewhat coin flip, and that if they have a great day, they could be the turning tide for their squad.
And the thing for Hylissang is throughout this year, we felt that in the EULCS, he's become more consistent, a little more restrained, but when the pressure really got put on, he really tried to make a lot of these plays. And what we saw from Fnatic was a willingness to just constantly fight them, thinking maybe we can find this pick, maybe we can turn this advantage in our favor, but they never go on to JackeyLove. IG were always ready to fight, and if it wasn't for a couple of standout plays from Soaz, this would have been a much more one-sided game from IG.
Yeah, one thing Fnatic did do that a lot of other teams haven't been able to is when they make the desperation team fight, it's actually set up very well, right? That was such a smart flank position from Soaz. This, though, was very poor judgment by Fnatic when they're going for this, because 4 people were going to be alive from IG the entire time, not to mention the Kaiser's going to have an easy time stacking up
12
to
HP.
full Ginsu's rage. Sure, 12 HP. Best case scenario, you get aced, right, and give away all the shutdown gold, and worst case scenario, you lose the game.
What I see in that situation is a Fnatic saying we're at least like 5k call down. Our best case scenario is we take Baron off the board and we stall for another 7 minutes. Maybe we can find another good fight.
Are you defending that Baron play and calling it a good call?
All I'm saying is I'm trying to understand why they made the decision.
For sure,
right?
yeah.
Because whether or not it was that, like, I agree that the decision itself isn't good, but I'm trying to understand why they went for it. And in my head, it's this is our best shot. And in the map and the way they read it, I think that they were much further down behind than they thought they were. So they tried to make the play. And as we saw, like, when JackeyLove is 6-1 and 6 going into that Baron pit, even if it's a 3v5, he's more than happy to clean up. And that's like a perfect playground for the Kaiser.
JackeyLove, MasterCard player of the game this time around. What a performance by him up against Rekkles in the bot lane.
Youngest player on the squad, the Prodigy ADC, JackeyLove finally gets his debut. The only time the international audience has turned their eyes towards him, he steps forward, he has bad flashes, he throws game, he gets smashed. But he gets his revenge today when it counts.
Yeah, I loved watching JackeyLove play. I thought he was great. I wasn't as confident as Frost was into the Rekkles JackeyLove matchup. And admittedly, he got a bit of jungle assistance, but he still definitely proved that he is a top-tier AD carry, and I was very impressed with what he could do.
I think a big difference between Rekkles and JackeyLove, especially on an international stage, obviously there's much more footage of Rekkles, but Rekkles never really, for me, on an international stage, has been the killer lane instinct.
That's
true. Who doesn't play it like the Uzi, like he does maybe back domestically in the EULCS. JackeyLove always goes for the kills. So in terms of who was ever going to win the lane phase, I'd always give it to JackeyLove. It's still going to be dependent on matchup, but I would have given the team fights to Rekkles if he had ever gotten there.
Yeah, I will say that I'm excited for the rematch between these teams, just because one team wins the first of the double round robin. As we've seen in Worlds, does not mean they're going to win the second. IG had a very good early game plan here, and they had red side for the mid lane counter pick. When we flip that around, give Caps a mid lane counter pick, and he can be on the pushing side, I want to see how the mid game and late game happens in that, because I still saw creative things out of Fnatic with the Sion flank towards the end of the game, but I think the correct team won today.
We're going to get an interview with JackeyLove after the break, but IG now sits at 2-0 in control of this group in first place. This was one of the groups we had talked about. Perhaps there are opportunities for 100 Thieves or G-Rex to make a run at first or second. But the more evidence I'm seeing from these two teams, Fnatic and IG, it seems to me that it's really going to be just a race between the two of them for who gets first and who gets second.
I mean, I think this is locked and loaded. I mean, unless we see drastic changes here, Invictus Gaming and Fnatic just look on a completely different tier comparatively to the rest of the group.
We've got more Worlds action ahead of us as 100 Thieves and G-Rex face off in our next game. Find out who gets their first win after the break.
Now you see me. Now you don't. Okay, cool. Easy peasy. Warwick? No, it's not Shay.
Back in the OPL, and they are going to try and look for the dive here. They want Rekkles. TP is from Fnatic, but Rekkles getting low. He's already ignited.
I'm tanking. She's coming from River. You need me to see me or not? Oh, wait, nice. I don't think we need. Can we get that? Probably. Nice, guys. That helps a lot.
Maybe Fnatic have found a pick here. Here comes the Orn Horn. Ning dives straight into the backside. Baolan picks up Hilly, and Caps is now going to have to run for the hills. But Ning, he gets the Baron. JackeyLove, he's grabbed the triple kill. It's going to be a penta. JackeyLove, oh my God, rookie. Finally dies in zombie form, but dude, a massive knock up there on JackeyLove. He's going to surf in and finish everything off.
Welcome back. I am here with JackeyLove. Congratulations on that win. Now, going into this game, the matchup was supposed to be all around the mid lane, but you really stole the show in the bot lane. So, what did you think of EU's #1 seed Fnatic?
就恭喜你取得刚刚比赛的胜利。那么其实大家之前都预测这个比赛会是中路的对抗，但是呢，你成功的偷走了大家的视线，因为你打得特别好。你怎么看待这场比赛？
因为打Fnatic之前嘛，因为就是他们就是公认的中路很强，然后下路也很强的一个组合。但是我觉得他们打我们的话，就中路就绝对是，我觉得是绝对是拿不到优势的。然后我们下路的话，就是今天把他们安排了，所以我感觉他们就输了。
Yeah, so before playing against Fnatic, they know Fnatic is well known for their mid laner. However, playing against IG, he can't really, take advantage over Rookie. Rookie can't lose. And also, our bot lane, we're able to crush enemy bot lane. That's why we're able to win this game.
And Fnatic was supposed to be your biggest competition in your group. So now that you've crushed them, what are your chances of exiting groups as the #1 seed?
就大家一直认为 Fnatic 是你们这组内最大的一个对手，那么你们现在已经就是很大优势的击败了他们。你觉得你们现在以小组第一出现的概率有多少？
现在的话，如果就是后面状态不出问题的话，就是七成以上。
If we play like we used to play, we should have at least 70% chance of getting out of groups.
Who's coming with you in the spot of #2?
那你觉得谁会跟你一起出现呢
？Fnatic.
Fnatic? Well, thank you again and congratulations again on your win, JackeyLove. And that's it for us here. Back to you.
Thank you very much, and hello and welcome to Game 4 of the day, where 100 Thieves will be taking on G-Rex, both teams hunting for their first win. I'm Trevor FLICKR Henry, joined by Isaac, Azale, Cummings, Bentley. North America definitely have the best names as far as the shoutcasters go. You know that?
Well, that's something. We're winning in something. We take those, Trevor.
Azale, I am starting with a compliment because I'm instantly going to ask you, what's happening at the moment? We look at 100 Thieves. They got wrecked yesterday, but there are ways they can improve, and I think there are quick wins as well. Let's talk about what 100 Thieves can do today to increase their chances against G-Rex.
Yeah, certainly so. So a couple things that they can really look to work on today. I think get a more stable mid lane matchup. We saw Ryu get absolutely decimated by Caps yesterday. If they want to play through bottom lane, if they want to play through a later game against some of these top mid laners, you need to play something more stable, like Galio, Malzahar, something like that perhaps. Drafting to cover some of those weaknesses is kind of a similar idea, and this team really has to think about what way they want to play the game out, because they are not only making, I think, some drafting errors and some play errors, but they are also making some of those mental mistakes, perhaps not itemizing properly at all times, so they really just kind of need to clean up. But G-Rex is much more of an approachable team for 100 Thieves. They certainly were heavy underdogs against Fnatic.
Yeah, absolutely the case. And of course, with Caps playing the way he did in a favorable matchup, it unlocked the rest of Fnatic. But we saw how easily he himself could get shut down. Now, let's turn our attention to G-Rex. When they played up against Invictus Gaming, I thought the early game went better than I expected. I thought G-Rex may have been rolled over, but they put up a bit of a fight, and then eventually the IG machine rolled over. So what direction do we look at for G-Rex? How did they pivot now that we see IG are, in fact, the #1 team in the group?
Again, I mean, they're coming off of a loss, but I think a much closer loss probably than what actually happened to 100 Thieves. Bebe is still in, and there was some kind of surprise that he did get subbed in, but honestly, I think he played well on the Olaf against IG. He was, part of the big reason that they had that stronger early game. PK was also looking good. We know that Stitch and Koala from play-ins can be powerful when they get going. So I would like to see Bebe focusing on getting that bot lane ahead. That is also often how 100 Thieves likes to play their games. So if you can put Stitch and Koala ahead of Rikara and Aphromoo, I think that is going to be the key to teamfight victories, and that's the name of the game when you're going up against 100 Thieves.
Now keep that in mind as the draft plays out, and see, whether or not we're going to get the hands on the Olaf once again. During Phase 1 bans, Varus, Aurelia, Aatrox, Talia. So a lot of the sort of stronger picks with that targeted Varus ban towards Stitch. Still seeing Akali is up and available, but teams trying to decide what direction they're going to go. They're not going for that easy just ban the OPs that we're seeing, and you can see with the Rakan as well. So a slightly different approach for 100 Thieves and G-Rex so far.
Yeah, the Rakan ban is interesting. That to me says that they don't even want to pick Xayah, because oftentimes, you are going to be able to take the Xayah, give away the Rakan, something along those lines. Alistar is banned away, Urgot available. I think that should probably be the first pick here for 100 Thieves.
that should give priority to Someday up in the top lane. He was the best North American top laner, first team all NALCS in the summer split. So give him that strong pick. There really is only answers to Urgot. There are really no counters, at least that we have seen shown up in pro play. So I think this is setting themselves up well on the top side of the map.
Okay, so not too unexpected. Again, the priority favorites this tournament, the Kai'Sa, the Sion, the Urgot already locked in. But if you've got the Kai'Sa in lane, if Bebe wants to help Kai'Sa get through that laning phase, whatever matchup Rikara and Aphromoo decide to lock in, there will be some tools. You've got that late game insurance, something I always love, with Kai'Sa being probably the favorite, the #1 AD carry at World so far.
Yeah, definitely the case. And it's looking like it will be Xayah. I'm interested to see if Aphromoo tries to go for something that is more laning focused to really try to punish this Kai'Sa, who is weaker than Xayah in those early levels. If you go for something, you know, he has been known to bring out the range supports from time to time. That could work well. Also would not be surprised, though, to just see something like a Tahm Kench brought out, as that is one of Aphromoo's favorites.
We've seen Tahm Kench banned a whole lot this tournament as well. And of course, you were talking about that laning sort of pick. I wonder how far down the rabbit hole you have to go before Aphromoo considers a Bard. I'm saying considers, but it's going to be Thresh today. And over on the other side, just a brief hover, and it is in fact locked in the Nautilus. So Kai'Sa Nautilus into the Xayah Thresh, both bot lanes secured already, and we're into phase 2.
Yeah, and this is interesting. I mean, Tahm Kench was available. This is kind of the more aggressive answer into the Thresh. One of the matchups that makes it really nice is basically Thresh has a pretty big delay on the actual Q cast. Nautilus is cast out a lot faster, so when the Thresh starts hooking, you can actually hook right back into him and kind of start off that fight on better terms for yourself. There's obviously very good guaranteed engage as well, so you can put up that plasma very easily for the Kai'Sa to have an extra dive buddy.
All right, let's see who's going to get the better performance. Nautilus is a champion we've seen a couple of times, but not exactly taking over the world stage. And there's some of these more priority picks. The Ryze is off the table, the Syndra is off the table, so is Akali. So do we potentially look for, you know, sort of the tankier mids? Does Galio raise in priority at all? Is it too much to consider? We'll find out in a moment or two as 100 Thieves will close out the ban. So, G-Rex, what do they lock in now? Either as a flex or a blind?
I think you're going to save your mid lane pick for last, so I think they're looking at jungle here. Options like a Gragas, Olaf is even still available, I do believe. Those are the ones that are really looking like priority for me. You can look for something more aggressive if you want to do more of a dive composition along the lines of a Nocturne, so certainly are still a lot of options, but I think it makes the most sense to leave Candy's pick for last year. You also do have to take in consideration when you're playing against this Thresh, having more frontliners can be very powerful. You know, more people to kind of absorb that hook, but it looks like they are going with the diving, more aggressive option.
Oh, I really like that. Nocturne plus Kai'Sa. Very good synergy. Actually, you know what? If you add that with a Sion and Nautilus, it's just a death ball. If at any point 100 Thieves are out of position, G-Rex can just decide to go in at any time. And also, it leans into this strategy you were talking about, Azael. Nocturne, great at ganking and putting pressure on that bottom lane.
It definitely is, and Nautilus has incredible gank assist. It's basically guaranteed to actually apply that plasma. You have a root with your passive, you have the hook, you have the slow on your E, as well as the guaranteed knockup from your ultimate. So a lot of ways to apply that plasma. Once that is applied, Nocturne ults in, Kai'Sa can follow, and certainly there is some powerful dive there. Blind LeBlanc is going to be the answer here for Ryu, and Candy is certainly not Caps. I am not expecting him to get dominated in this game. 100 Thieves going with a very aggressive early game jungle. Xin, I think, makes a lot of sense when you have 3 lanes that are very aggressive. You have the Thresh in the bot lane, so very good gank assist there. Urgot should have priority on the top side against this Sion. So you take Xin Zhao, really strong early game matchup against that Nocturne, and also powerful ganking, and they're going to look to play aggressive. This does seem to be 100 Thieves trying to up the tempo a bit, which is something that they haven't really been known for.
Well, let's see if they can actually execute it. Of course, a lot of criticism thrown towards 100 Thieves based on their Game 1 performance. But now that we have seen Invictus take down Fnatic, we can, you know, temper that a little bit. Invictus definitely showing up. So this is the real test in my eyes. How well does 100 Thieves perform against G-Rex? In actual fact, all 3 of our games today, Azael, is East meets West. We've got LCK, LPL, and LMS all taking on one another. But early game, it's up to 100 Thieves. G-Rex, what direction do they go? I really like their team
They go
fight.
dive, they go
I love
forward.
their team fight comp if they can get to that mid game. But obviously, they just don't want to concede too much too early against these early picks.
Definitely. I mean, I think the Lissandra is a nice pick into the LeBlanc. There is possibility of, ganking that lane, but mostly I think Nocturne is going to try to farm to 6, is going to try to cover lanes for potential counter ganks and not be being as proactive himself. The Lissandra, when LeBlanc distorts forward, if you can hit that ultimate onto her, it is so devastating. There's so much point and click CC and targeting for that LeBlanc, which makes it very difficult to navigate the fights. For Ryu, he's going to have to play that very well, but certainly 100 Thieves has priority in the early game. They should be able to win 2v2s and 3v3s with their jungle matchup. So I want to see them get proactive. You don't want them resting on their laurels, giving time for the Kai'Sa to get going, giving time for this Nocturne to hit 6.
And of course, both of these teams lost their opening match in the group stage at Worlds 2018 0-1. One of them will be able to pick up a win and, in fact, equalize the scoreline with Fnatic at 1-1 before they round out the first stage of this round robin. Is North America's 100 Thieves taking on the LMS's G-Rex. And these are two teams that actually have a lot of fans on social and around the world talking about specific players. It's Rukara for 100 Thieves, it's Bebe for G-Rex, and we've had discussions as well around how these players are going to be performing. And this is now an opportunity to reframe the discussion, to reframe how your fans and your league and your supporters are discussing the team and the play.
Yeah.
And that's definitely where my eyes are going to be focusing. This Nocturne and this Zion, how they're going to show up.
I mean, there really is so much pressure on Rukara as an individual. This is a Challenger League player who did come up and join 100 Thieves, but they played with Cody-san for basically the entire year. They swapped over to Rukara. They've kind of talked about the flexibility that Rukara does give them and how they allocate their resources in the later stages. When you have, a superstar like Someday, perhaps you want to allow him to get more of that farm, have more of an ability to carry the game, and thus maybe you want your marksman to be more of that kind of utility guy who's covering mid lane. And Cody-san was very much a player who was getting all the farm. They were playing around him. It was about the hyper carries. So it's a bit of a different look, and we'll see how they can make it work.
Yeah, definitely want to keep my eyes. And then also Ryu, he's got this LeBlanc running pretty aggressive, got that Ignite as well. And I like the fact that with the Nocturne Lissandra Kai'Sa, if Ryu can get into a position where he can keep threatening the insta-give, can keep threatening the kill, there's a lot of tools and a lot of ways you can unlock the 100 Thieves team composition based around that single champion and that single pick.
There certainly are, but I also look at this LeBlanc and I'm thinking, how many of these guys are really good targets for you, right? Yeah. It is mostly going to be him trying to get to the Kai'Sa in the team fights, and when there's a Scion and, the point and click CC here from that Nautilus as well as Lissandra, that's very scary, but we do have Xin moving down. He should have been spotted on the ward that was further up here in the river, so they do back off very intelligently, and you could see that Stitch and Koala were trying to kind of walk that line to make him waste his time and move down towards that.
All right, so Anda gonna get the Scuttle Crab on the bottom half of the map as Bebe makes his way towards the top. I think he's already secured that Scuttle, if I'm looking at the mini-map correctly. Thank you, observers.
Yeah, and I think he was considering looking down towards the blue, perhaps. No, actually, the Scuttle showing is still up. Yeah, so that was just a ward there.
Thank you.
And as Anda was actually moving up to the top side, he is going to back off, and he's actually just going to do an early base. So this is actually kind of weird from Bebe. He just does 2 camps and then is going to head back to base. Perhaps just no longer feeling secure to actually go out for that Scuttle Crab, but it does mean it's not getting too much done his first time out on the map.
Yeah, sniffing around for opportunities, I suppose. If you look at the mini-map, both Someday and Ryu somewhat pushing those lanes a little. So if Bebe were to be caught in the river by Under, there was a potential of a collapse. So safe start by Bebe, and you can understand that with both of these teams a little trepidatious to begin. There's the disdain from Someday, really using the full kit of Urgot and getting a lot of damage down, in fact. A lot of 100 HP, but under the tower, you don't want to dive that yet.
Yeah, and he doesn't have his Spellbook swap to Ignite available yet. Anda coming up, though, and this is not warded out. They could actually go for this dive if Someday were to start it out. Now it's been spotted by the Ghost Portal. We'll see if they commit.
There's the disdain, gonna run into a minion instead, and PK is able to walk away with his life just at the right time.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit of a mind game. Someday was hoping that PK would expect the E flash and flash himself. I don't think he ever actually intended to commit to it. At the very least, they get out the teleport before PK had a strong buy, and they do zone him off some of those minions. So the farm advantage certainly heavily in the favor of Someday. And even the buy from Bebe was speaking to how worried he was about running into Anda. I mean, his first buy was just 2 pinks.
All right, well, this is a good start for 100 Thieves. Someday with a confident move to begin. Admittedly, it's 4 minutes in, so I'm getting a little excited, a little ahead of myself as Ale. And Koala again moving forward. So Bebe moved in, stole away the red buff. Of course, waiting for Nocturne to really unlock Paranoia before he really becomes instrumental in those ganks. And
Yeah.
G-Rex just pushing this bottom wave.
Yeah, they are just pushing this up, and I mean, they're going to be pretty happy about how this is going, having the wave control on the bottom side. They felt comfortable to actually get these deep wards once they knew Xin was on the top side, so I think that was pretty smart. Take away the Raptor camp, drop a pink there. There's 2 of those vision wards as well down on that side of the map, and honestly, they do have to play fairly safe now, though, because you see this deep ward that has been placed by Aphromoo. There's no TP on Sion, and if they were to actually commit, then Someday can hit a TP flank, and this could get turned around on them. So really force-stitching Koala. They should not be doing anything other than pushing and then backing off.
Don't expose themselves to any risk, especially when you consider Under at level 2 showed his face. Maybe sniffing around for an opportunity. It was optimistic, of course, but wasn't too bad. We've not looked a whole lot at the CS in that bottom lane. It's bang on even, 39-36. It's only the top lane where there's a little bit of a disparity thanks to that early trade. And obviously with Bebe waiting in the wings, if Someday decides to go aggressive again, then Bebe can very easily come in behind this wave that is pushing towards G-Rex's side of the map.
Yeah, it's certainly possible, but I don't expect them to even try it until Nocturne is 6, because if Xin is there and you are a pre-6 Nocturne and you commit to that, you are going to lose that 2v2 very heavily. So, you know, it would be quite a risky move, and the way that GRX is playing is so risk-averse, I don't think they have really much intention of going for it. You can see, though, they're expecting that Xin is over on the scuttle as it spawned. It's pinged out. They didn't have vision on that, but that is just Bebe saying, this is where he's going to be.
Yeah.
And you can see that Ryu was playing to that side of the map, so that even tips the hand a little bit more towards that. So G-Rex just want to play it safe, want to play it calm, wait to get their items, wait to get their levels.
So what level do you say you have to start? You know, whenever you see a Nocturne, I always go, right, I'll give them 1 or 2. I think by 7 or 8,
yeah.
If you haven't done something, then I get panicky. But, you know, is that fair? Am I giving them too much leeway?
So, I mean, I think that it is fair, especially with this composition. Generally, you know, the ideal Nocturne game is you hit 6, you ult, you get a kill, back to farming. Your ult comes up, you press your ult, you get a kill, right? Like, that's what you're looking for. But in these compositions, I really do think that it's much easier to execute the G-Rex comp in the later stages. So they may be looking at this like and saying, you know what, Nocturne ult is going to be as a response to ganks, not necessarily proactive unless we think it's guaranteed. You know, there's nothing that says you must get something done early. I feel like that's more on the side of 100 Thieves in this game. You know, I think Thresh in teamfights is very hard to play if you do not have vision, if you're not getting picks on one of the squishy members. You know, it's unlikely you're going to get a hook on the Kaisa or someone that's really, really relevant.
Yeah, and of course, talking about that Nocturne and that Thresh, Bebe's played it once this summer, lost with Aphromoo, once similar.
Go.
And there's Ryu jumping onto Anda. The chains didn't really do enough.
Ooh.
Candy's able to get away with that Glacial Path. And pretty easy, no summoner spells blown there at all. So, good escape from Candy.
Yeah, that was actually really well timed. It's a small thing, but he spends out his claw just as the root is going to expire. He can actually take it, and nice harass down on the Koala, but buffered the hook there. Really well done to pull himself out of danger.
Here comes Anda, doesn't have access to the ultimate yet. If Koala stepped too close to the Tribush, he is in some trouble. All right, 3 talent strike has been primed. Teleport coming down, and Aphromoo's death sentence doesn't find a target. Anda continues to chase. The Dredge line pulls him in. First blood to Rikara.
Yeah, so nice there from 100 Thieves. They know there's not even a heal available because it is a TP Kaisa. They use that teleport advantage to great effect. First blood onto the AD, and they are onto this turret. This could potentially just be first turret straight up.
Yeah, definitely going to go down with this minion wave. If not, then the very next one. And Azel's exactly as you mentioned. Pressure on 100 Thieves to make the first move. They pull it off with the Someday teleport in that teleport advantage from the trade several minutes ago. You know, it's a snowball effect, and here's a replay.
Yeah, and here it is one more time. Flash hook is responded to, but you see how Anda is waiting back, expecting that Stitch will have to flash away. That is really good communication and play between Aphromoo and Anda there. Aphro is essentially saying, if you don't flash, you're hooked. If you do, you're into my Xin, and you're dead anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So well played. 1,000 gold advantage, tower first blood, actual first blood, and that allows Rikara to pick up his Berserker's Greaves as well as the BF sword. I'm taking a look at lane assignments for now. Rikara still, well, he was hinting towards bot lane, but traditionally when that tower falls, you consider swapping pretty early on. That looks to be the case.
Yeah, I do think we'll see them probably head up towards top side. You know, LeBlanc is still sitting there. You can send your Urgot bottom. Sometimes the teams will try to do Rift Herald Ben swap, but it's so early in the game. I think you should just send Someday down to that bottom side for now.
Yeah, of course. I really like that little drop down we saw. World's average for level 6 Nocturne around 710. Bebe got his 825. It's interesting when you look at the context of all the games, you see the impact of the different champions, and you know, it's still a fairly small sample size, all things considered, especially we haven't seen a whole lot of Nocturne.
Yeah, and it's not surprising to know he's behind the average just because of how you watched him play the game, right? Did 2 camps and then based, lost 2 pink wards. That is saying, I don't want to die to this sin.
Yeah.
I want to stay away from this sin. And he has done that to his credit. He is at that level 7 mark now, so we'll be able to look for opportunities, or at the very least, as I said, counter ganks, right? Like, he's sitting back by this turret. Rikara has no flash, so if he steps too far forward, hey, maybe you go for it.
Yeah, exactly. Punish the positioning if possible. Bebe got that paranoia. And of course, if Koala can get some of that CC from the kit down, of which there is plenty, so easy for Stitch and Bebe just to get all the damage down, especially now the Killer Instinct is there as well. But 100 Thieves are respecting the potential engage. They are backing away. I'm waiting for Depth Touch. I'm waiting for level 6 Nautilus, because that feels like it will be the go button, and there it is. But unfortunately, Rikara and Aphromoo, they're safe. They've fallen back. Obviously now Bebe's spotted out by the ward, so this is a really good opening 10 minutes for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, they're playing it intelligently, right? Anda's on the bottom side of the map, so you shouldn't be posturing aggressively. You need to see Aphromoo playing behind his AD, which is what he was doing. You know, if you posture aggressively, well, there's no opportunity to Lantern. Then they go for it. So knowing Zin's on the bottom side, they do not look for that, but Zin is around mid lane now and could potentially respond to any plays, but G-Rex want to do this on the top side. Nocturne and Lissandra are there.
All right, so the response from 100 Thieves is to try the flank. As 4 members from North America flanking, Candy's already used that Glacial Path to escape. Distortion forward from Ryu. I'm looking for CC Aphromoo. Swing and a miss. Doesn't find G-Rex.
Yeah, nice sidestep there by Candy. They even moved Someday up, so they were expecting that G-Rex would commit to that, but I think because Someday had made the rotation, they say, no, let's back off, allow PK to push this out, then we'll have priority on the bottom side of the map. And as Someday does walk back down to that bottom side, he doesn't have his TP available. PK does. They should now have priority on the top side, and here is the teleport to try to make good on that.
All right, the recall is just about to finish there from Anda. Teleport was cancelled, in fact.
Ooh.
And we get a quick glimpse. So deciding against it, bailing out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And that's again PK, summon a spell disadvantage. Just not getting anything from it.
Yeah, that is a disappointing one to be sure for them. The one thing that may work in their favor is I'm not sure if 100 Thieves would have noticed that. You know, they don't have vision in that area. So if someone was looking at that place on the map, you can see the TP animation, but no one was right there. Maybe they don't even know that they have that summoner disadvantage. So we will see if 100 Thieves plays with respect to it. And, you know, that is a small thing. Still very disappointing for G-Rex to see that TP go to waste, as, you know, we saw how much 100 Thieves got out of theirs.
And it just, it gives you questions, because we don't know why. We don't know the reasoning. And it's all up to speculation. Of course, PK, he's finished up that Righteous Glory. First item spikes are starting to come in. Proto Belt for Candy. Warrior Enchant just picked up by Bebe. So, you know, we're hitting that point in the game where some skirmishes and some team fights start to appear. And for G-Rex, still no real, you know, proactive strong plays yet. Teleport to the top lane. Bebe's waiting to get involved, so this could be that reactionary Nocturne, the disruptive paranoia. That, you know, it is a way to use the ultimate. It's not the way I prefer, but it can work.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes you pick something that's stronger in the early game to cover for something that's stronger in the late game, right? And in this case, hey, despite the fact that Kaisa actually died and lost first turret, he's up 20 CS, right? So Stitch is still doing fine. He's to the Stormrazor faster than Rikara is. So in that regard, they are probably pretty happy, and they may just feel we do not need to make those proactive plays. We can just wait, and Stitch will carry us through in the later stages. So we'll see if that's what they're going to look for. You know, at the same time, 100 Thieves has played with respect to that Nocturne ult. When Zin is not there, they're not posturing aggressively, and they're not really giving a lot of opportunities over to G-Rex.
Yeah, that's definitely a way to pull into this mid-game. Use some of the skirmishing power of the team composition to your advantage. I mean, 100 Thieves in a very comfortable position right now. They punish G-Rex where they can, and Stormrazor was just completed, so not too far behind the power spikes of G-Rex. And of course, just to remind everybody that in the group, whoever wins this game will be tied with Fnatic, right? They play one more game tomorrow before they close out the round robin, and then wait a couple days before...
Looking for a play here on mid lane.
Candy, once again, will get out clean. Ryu has missed a fair number of those ethereal chains, needs to connect them to set up those kills.
Yeah, you can see that they move Sunday up. Sunday has been trying to use his lane priority pretty well, and to his credit, he has been roaming around the map. He pushes the wave, and then he looks to try to make something happen, and you really do like to see that. Whether it pans out or not, it makes the G-Rex players play with more respect, and not going to take that hook, as it did land on the Nautilus.
I was about to jump, Azale. I'm waiting to see if 100 Thieves felt the urge to engage, but they didn't, and a large number of members between 100 Thieves and G-Rex in the mid lane.
Mid.
Rift Herald has been summoned. Remember, PK without teleport had to walk his way down. The boop connects onto the mid tower. There's enough minions to allow an engage. There goes the unstoppable onslaught. PK dashes forward, starts to back away. Aphromoo forced to flash for his life, and vision is denied. Darkness by G-Rex. The fight gets split on multiple fronts, but nobody's down yet. PK finally gets Aphromoo. Candy running for life, but Stitch with a killer instinct. He gets himself the second for G-Rex. Under gets another in the top lane as PK gets turned to zombie mode. Under's running for his life, got no flash available, and the kill will be secured by Stitch.
Nicely done by G-Rex. They make the dive work despite the fact that Bebe ulted so late. Someday was able to come through with the teleport, but G-Rex just wins the straight-up team fight, showing they don't need to be proactive. They can wait for this Kai'Sa to come online, and Stitch now picking up a couple kills there is going to be feeling really good.
The tower, 3 kills to 1 death, and of course landing in Stitch's hands. That's exactly what you want to see for G-Rex. They swing the gold lead into their favor, and this is how it all started.
I would have liked to see the Nocturne ult a lot earlier, because if you Nocturne ult first, the Urgot couldn't have even TP'd in, and you may have been able to dominate it even harder. But just now it does come out. He does dive further in onto the LeBlanc, and on the side, you can just see that Stitch has stayed safe for so long, and then now that the cooldowns are down, he uses the killer instinct. He dives forward onto Rikara. Rikara has to flee, and Anda is separated from the team, does trade over 1 kill. But again, this is heavily in the favor of G-Rex, who has more of that scaling marksman, who has, I think, the advantage in that later game stage.
And that's exactly what G-Rex needed to make sure they retain control of the game. I absolutely love being overly dramatic on the first use of important ultimates. You know, like a Shen Stand United or a Paranoia from Nocturne.
Dictates the entire game.
It does. In my brain, it does, because it colors every future move. And for Bebe, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10, so you're telling me they already won?
Well, I think they have the tools. I mean, that team fight was very, very good. But it's how they wield them. You can have the ability to win.
Yeah.
You have to show that
you have the sword, but you have to swing it.
There we go. That's the way I like to think about it.
All right.
But taking a look at the mid lane now, 100 Thieves, they're definitely going out of this game. Aphromoo throws out the death sentence. By the way, Ryu sitting with that Luden's Echo. He's sitting in base for now, waiting to see what direction he goes.
Yeah, and I think one of the things for 100 Thieves that's going to be so important is if they can actually get vision control over an area, Thresh and LeBlanc are so much stronger from darkness, right? If you do not know where these guys are, and you can hit a hook on a carry, you can chunk someone out coming from behind as LeBlanc. That is so ridiculously impactful, and that is why G-Rex is going to want to move around with all these meatballs, put up the Nautilus in front, put up the Scion in front, get vision. And 100 Thieves has to fight against that and try to deny it.
And also, I don't want to see 100 Thieves and G-Rex, remember first, I don't want to see 100 Thieves go into G-Rex in a 5-on-5. I prefer the Death Ball synergy that the G-Rex comp has. And for 100 Thieves, much prefer 2v2s, 3v3s with the Xin Zhao, the LeBlanc, the Urgot, where they can really utilize the champion's full kit. So every time I look at the minimap, I'm looking at the vision, I'm looking at lane assignments, and Someday continues to impress. He's pushing up to that bottom inner turret. He's going to start pulling some pressure. But yes, 100 Thieves lost 1 tower, but what can they take in return? Pressure on mid, pressure on bottom, pressure on PK as well. He's got no flash to his name. Sunday's going to continue chase forward. There's the Fear Beyond Death, turns him into zombie mode. Paranoia by Bebe. He's jumped onto Ryu. Ryu manages to find the lantern to safety. And 100 Thieves, they don't get a tower yet. Only the kill, and I think that's still an advantage to Rex.
Yeah, well, they do get the kill, and they could push in now. We'll see what they can get in the subsequent fight here. It's a 5v4. G-Rex looks like they want to try to defend this, but Ryu is trying to threaten the flank.
All right, Ryu's on the side. The ethereal chains have popped. 10 seconds before PK's up with a teleport. Glacial Tomb is thrown down. The tower at 50% HP, but Koala at 0. He is killed, and 100 Thieves back away.
Yeah, they get another kill, but G-Rex are going to be able to hold on to the turret. PK is up and has his TP. 100 Thieves need to reset for this Infernal. It's spawning in 10, and that is going to be a critical dragon for them. They really want to be able to be the first to the scene, get the vision, and try to take that. I feel like 100 Thieves really need to prioritize that. I don't think you want to be giving it away at this point in the game.
And you can see the control wards, string of them, 1, 2 on your screen, 1 in the river as well, being set up for that mid lane push that happened a moment or two ago. That will be fairly useful in the ensuing dragon setup. 100 Thieves are barreling for this objective, and there's no response yet from G-Rex.
Yeah, they are heading over to that direction. If you can deny that one ward that is outside the Baron pit, it gets very difficult for G-Rex to actually move forward and even check on that dragon because of these 3 pink wards in a line here, as we saw. So we'll see. I mean, the problem for 100 Thieves is they never actually swept the dragon pit, so G-Rex doesn't have to check. And 100 Thieves doesn't realize that just yet, and they will be able to spot it. So that ward paying so much for them, and they should have actually seen it pop now. Looks like it's not even going to be contested, though. G-Rex is just trying to push out the sideways. They're using this time to go top. And I think that's fine for them. You don't have to contest that, but certainly felt like a bit of a necessity for 100 Thieves to be able to secure that.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, with the Cloud and the Infernal now, 100 Thieves, 2 dragons to 0. They're down a tower, up in kills, and G-Rex have the superior map control. 100 Thieves have got a little bit more late-game insurance in the form of those dragons. But it is definitely a very even game thus far. 20 minutes in, we're out of the laning phase. We've started doing a lot of movements, and he's really showing authority or stamping control of the game. It reminds me a fair bit of G-Rex versus IG yesterday. It was slow to start. It looked really... They traded a bunch of blows before 1 or 2 team fights in the 20 to 25 minute mark just sealed the deal.
It really does feel like one of those games that's going to be a fight into a Baron, and whoever wins that is probably going to be the team that's taking the game. You know, this is kind of very much how the 100 Thieves like to play. You know, they do play often very much for the vision control around Baron. They try to make sure if any fight they take is heavily in their favor. They're not a coin flip type of team, and we'll see if they can actually get the setup. And these team fights are going to be very, very interesting.
I'm very familiar with that. It's definitely the Prolly effect. A lot of teams and players that Prolly has coached over the years have been fairly risk averse, and it is a little bit more about that clean, safe, secure play. And you're seeing that with 100 Thieves. But there needs to be deeper vision. If you look at the minimap, G-Rex, they've got defensive wards themselves, and 100 Thieves are placing them in the river. But if you want to push past, if you want to get into territory, you've got to break open those tier 1s. You're going to get into G-Rex's base. And right now, that mid still standing is a gigantic pressure point that 100 Thieves needs to break.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, but they're going to look for Someday here.
Nobody saw that.
Definitely did not watch Tokyo Drift. It's not a Vin Diesel move right there.
No, it is not. Well, to be fair, I don't think Vin Diesel was in that one, so that might be why. Nevertheless, PK with a face. I think I've actually watched too many of those movies, to be fair. Candy and Ryu going to meet face-to-face. This time in the top lane. But yeah, I think for 100 Thieves, with tier 1 still up for 22 minutes, it becomes so difficult to apply pressure to G-Rex to get into their base and even consider things like, you know, Baron or anything else. Tier 1's, the amount of vision and control they offer is unparalleled at this stage in the game. There goes Ryu's gonna land the chains. They shall pop, not enough distance, but the Tomb will buy some time. Under, as well as Aphromoo can jump in. The vision denial from Bebe. That's a good defensive ult. Decides to jump forward. And G-Rex, they will save their mid laner.
Yeah, actually, pretty decent trade there for G-Rex. They get the flash off Aphromoo for just that Nocturne ultimate and the defensive ultimate there from Lissandra, but we'll see if 100 Thieves can actually take this turret now off of the pressure because Candy has gone back to base. PK is going to perhaps TP in. He is going to base as well, so he has the threat of it.
Yeah, and of course, Koala may just be jumped on by several members. He was forced to use some summoner spells to escape. As you can see on the minimap, Death Sentence will connect. He throws out the Death Charge, but Fear beyond
Fear lands.
Gobble, gobble, gobble. Someday takes him out. There's a Killer Instinct who's defensively a PK. He joins the fight. The box is put down in the jungle. And take a look at Ryu. He's blown up Bebe. Candy goes golden in the middle of the fight, and Aphromoo's trying to run for his life. Riccara is untouched so far, and Stitch is being run down. Riccara takes him out. PK stuck in between 100 Thieves, and he's going to get some support from Candy. The flash route down. They're going to find a kill into Aphromoo. And Ryu's now running for his life. Whoever strikes first can pick up the kill. Vision in favor of Candy, but he's not going to find the shard. And the roar of the Slayer comes out. Ryu's still running for his life. He can distort backwards. Does so. Gets out of range of the decimating smash. Flashes away from Candy. Cue the Benny Hill. Ryu's running for his life. Here comes PK.
Oh, he's
Roar
gonna
of the
get
Sand
out.
goes out, and Ryu does it.
Now you see him, now you don't. Ryu pulls off the magic trick there, able to get out. A very even team fight in what looks like it would be very 100 Thieves favored as they get this early kill onto Koala and then are able to actually watch this play here from Someday. As he pulls the ultimate, he's moving towards Stitch to actually get the fear. Landing the fear onto Stitch gets both the ultimate and the flash off Stitch. And then Ryu on the top side. We talked about vision. He finds Bebe and blows him up. Then, seeing Stitch, knowing he has no flash, Rikara flashes on top of him with Anda. And they do commit a lot to take him out, but Rikara gets so low that he can't re-enter the fight. And the solo laners are still healthy here for G-Rex, which allows them to re-enter, to pick up another kill on Aphromoo. And Ryu does escape in the ensuing play, but very even one presented there by Acer Predator.
I absolutely love the team fights this game. Every time we've seen a big 5-on-5, it splits up. It gets really involved on multiple fronts. But what I like is 100 Thieves team, they want to do that. The champions want to be split up, and that's why they've got the kill lead. They've got the dragons to their name. They secured the mid turret, which is one objective towards the Baron. And at 25 minutes, you have to think that's going to start rising in priority.
Yeah, I mean, the fights are so interesting because there's all these extra kind of more complex abilities that you have to actually, be able to pull off. 400 Thieves to be able to win those fights. Ryu has to find those pockets where there's no vision and be able to zone out the Kai'Sa. You can't just walk forward and fight the tanks. And if you can actually keep Kai'Sa in the backline, not diving in, then hey, Xin Zhao ultimate becomes very effective as well. You can actually use that as a somewhat suited defensive ability, protecting some of your carries, protecting your other front line. And 100 Thieves have got to really walk that line.
And of course, for 100 Thieves, the added pressure of the social media and everybody looking at them saying, what can you do? How will you perform? For now, they're going to be under pressure in the mid lane. They secure the tower top. PK's going to get that decimating smash, and the Iron going to help quite a lot. But now the turn, Death Sentence comes up. Bebe uses that stop, wants to buy some time. The box comes down. Rikara is burst very low, but so is Stitch. He manages to kill Instinct for a few seconds longer. Rikara takes him down. Sunday's pushing forward with Under. Ryu's fighting Candy in the back, and everybody from G-Rex is routed. They're trying to escape. Candy's now going to be the focus. He gets jumped on with an audacious charge. A burst from the distortion. The shutdown onto Ryu. How is Candy still alive?
Oh, he's going it!
And now Glass to stay alive further before Sunday finally takes him down. G-Rex, now there's a very good death sentence. He manages to catch out Bebe. And G-Rex, they survived way longer than they should have.
Yeah, 100 Thieves are going to go to Baron. The pings are onto it. They got the kill onto Bebe, which was the critical one. And Someday was incredible in that fight for the 100 Thieves. They are now onto the Baron. TP coming in from PK. G-Rex want to fight it.
Okay, PK will be there. And teleport coming down from Stitch as well. So that's two very important members. The Disdain will secure a kill onto Koala, and PK's actually alone. He's going to get knocked up into the air. The rest of 100 Thieves are coming up. Follow Aphromoo. Flash is available in a moment or two. Decides against a further chase. The investment, not worth the payoff. 100 Thieves, 1,500 gold up.
Still, they get both TPs there as well as a kill, which is going to feel really good for the 100 Thieves. No, they didn't get the Baron, but this play actually just saves the fight here pretty much from Someday. Moving in front, absorbs the Cyan ultimate, gets the Stone Blade out before a lot of that damage comes through, and he soaked up so much there, allowing Rikara to stay healthy. And imagine had Rikara taken any of that, he certainly would have lost the duel. And Ryu now.
Oh, Ryu gets taken down. Stitch just solo. I mean, lands the W, lands the R, and it's so difficult against the Kai'Sa.
Yeah, just kinds of things there. Diving in, taking out the LeBlanc in a 1v1.
And of course, Someday, just to go back to the point you were saying, Azale, sort of the unsung hero so far. He's right place, right time, doing the right thing consistently.
But he's trying to get out.
All right, see, and again, he escapes again. Well, let's find out if Rikara can survive. The box just comes down. The front line for 100 Thieves is doing their job. Dredge line pulls Koala to the tower, and Sunday's in the back end. He is still doing everything in his power to keep 100 Thieves in it. A flash death sentence from Aphromoo secures a kill onto Candy, and despite PK getting the knockup, it's simply not enough. Under gets another onto
Can he even miss
the
hook?
Is another for 100 Thieves, and it's just so good. They win consistent fights back to back.
Aphromoo hit hook after hook after hook in that fight. A thing of beauty there from the NA superstar. And again, back to the Baron. Bebe, no flash, no ult, no smite available. This one should be going the way of 100 Thieves.
100% the case. Bebe gonna maybe look to contest, but with Ryu waiting in the wings and popping the blast cone, there's simply no way in. So 100 Thieves cement control of this game. And again, I have to praise every single team fight. They're doing the right thing every time.
Yeah, they really are. And this was actually the replay of the earlier kill. Ryu just gets straight up outplayed. He chose that fight and just got slammed by Stitch. So that's what prompts the further engage. But there is the stone plate again before really any damage is taken. He gets the lantern out to safety, and then we see that Candy coming in here. He gets hooked on his claw. He's not able to get on top of Rikara. Rikara has the ultimate out to root up Candy coming out of that. And Someday is 1v4ing in the back line, able to survive, buying so much time for the team there. Aphromoo hitting hook after hook after hook, and it secures them the fight and the Baron.
This is how you need to play Thresh on the international stage. 0-2
too easy,
and,
dude.
Well, I'll let you say that one respectfully. I suck at support. But Aphromoo, as you said, every single death sentence, he's in the right place at the right time. He's using the lantern effectively. But what I like is he's pivoting. Whenever you see Threshers, they tend to be, you know, fishing bots or lantern bots. And Aphromoo is swapping as is necessary this game.
I mean, this is the Aphromoo effect, right? This is what won him the MVP in spring. He has the ability to take over a game at any time. When this guy is on a playmaker, you always feel like his team has a chance. Think back to all of the CLG games with Aphromoo, all of this year's games with 100 Thieves. He always is that X factor. It's not just the shot calling, it's the playmaking. He has the confidence to go for it, and he has the skills to pull it off.
Exactly, and this time around, 100 Thieves take their 6th tower in what feels like a blink of an eye. 5 minutes ago, this game was bang on even.
Yep.
And now it's a 7,000 gold lead with 1 minute and 40 seconds of Baron. And there is once again the Lancet. Rikara does get caught by the dredge line, but the Featherstorm buys some time. He's 5-0-6 on the Xayah. Paranoia's thrown down. I'm waiting to see where the target goes. Dredgeline once again finds the target. Under jumps forward with the audacious charge. They've traded 1-for-1. Jungle for support. Candy's running for his life as Ryu's running low on mana, so doesn't want too long of an exchange. But Rikara can finish this out. He's basically untouched. With the help of Someday and the rest of 100 Thieves, they get themselves a couple more kills. They get themselves access to the inhib, and they get themselves control of the game.
Yeah, it is 3v2 now. I'm not sure they're going to keep pushing, though. Stitch and Candy are alive and back to full health, so 100 Thieves will take their victory, will back off here. And it's Bebe there, committing the Nocturne ultimate, but not having the confidence to actually use it to go forward and look for a kill. Even with Rikara not having his ultimate down, I feel like you need to take that risk when the Featherstorm isn't available because your team is up against it. They are back against the wall, and here's the fight one more time. The Featherstorm is spent there. Qual did a great job getting it out, and you have to think, all right, Candy and Bebe are going to tag team dive in. Bebe pops the ultimate, but you'll see it just expires. Candy doesn't take the claw. There's not the coordination to get to that 100 Thieves backline, and when Rikara has this much time that is being bought by Someday, by Ryu and Anda, he is going to be able to clean up that fight.
Really impressed with how 100 Thieves are playing this out. That fan line, you had to get through Urgot, LeBlanc, as well as Thresh. It's very difficult, and we got the bases broken open. Dragon was secured as well, so it's just everything is in 100 Thieves' favor. Still an unkilled, untouched Rikara. 7-0-7, he just finished the Phantom Dancer to complement the Hurricane, Stormrazor, and Eye-Edge.
Yep, that is over 100% crit, and that is going to be one strong Xayah there. If you give this guy really any free time, he is going to shred through your front line. Sion is really the only one who can kind of stand up, and Lissandra is going to have to use those stasis very, very well with the self-ultimate, with the Zonias to be able to kind of buy time.
It's going to be a difficult situation. In order for G-Rex to come back from this position, they have to blow up Rikara or Ryu as early as is possible, and then use a numbers advantage to try and zone away the rest of 100 Thieves. But when you consider the comp, there are 4 damage dealers on their side. I mean, even Under, with the GA on that Xin Zhao, he hurts if you give him enough time.
He really does, and one of the things that Xin at this point can do with the Sterix and GA you can simply dive forward onto Stitch and trade out your life to buy time. Because if that GA is coming back up and Ricard has shredded down the front line of the opposing team, well, Stitch can't even stay around to clean up that fight.
Well, Ryu's flirting with danger, distorts over the wall, manages to get that Signal of Malice down, but not enough damage just yet. And looking at the minimap, Supers will just about crash into the base. That's why Bebe's there to catch them. He's got the paranoia if needed for a team fight, and Candy's going to be fishing maybe some sort of route. There's some good burst, good chunk onto Candy, and this should open up the inhibitor turrets.
Yeah, it will a little bit, but there's not a minion wave available just yet. G-Rex are doing a good job hanging on, and if they can continue holding on, mitigate loss, just keep clearing those waves, they may have a chance to challenge at another neutral objective. But 100 Thieves playing this patiently, they will not commit unless they see a really good opportunity.
Yeah, and especially with Baron coming up in a minute and a half. Look at that damage! Whoa, that hurt! 100 Thieves burst out Candy. That's all you need, the zoning damage. Get a second inhibitor. Absolute map control, and with a minute 20 before Baron, the bot inhibitor's up in 2 minutes. The safe play is to wait for Baron, grab that, and then look to kill the Nexus.
Yeah, and that was really nice play from Ryu, twice in a row, chunking out Candy, sending him back to the well to heal, and that got them the time to move forward. And now G-Rex are going to have to make a stand. I don't think you can afford to give up that third inhib if 100 Thieves commit.
Absolutely not. The Dredge Line does find a target, but look at PK. Even through the stone plate, he is being focused down, forced to flash defensively. And this, once again, is another very good
move. Ryu.
Ryu gets good damage on that double distort. The inhibitor tower is the focus. Super Minions getting close to the Nexus turrets from the bottom lane. G-Rex have got too many threats on too many fronts with too many problems to solve. And that will be the third inhibitor being focused. It's not killed just yet. Defensive flash from under, audaciously charging forward, and then instantly backing out with the Lantern, but the inhibitor stands.
Yeah, I think it's time to retreat. You want to be able to reset before the Baron does come up. That is 24 seconds until that happens, and G-Rex do barely hold on to their base. One inhibitor remaining, but there's going to be pressure in top and bot with that Baron alive. 100 Thieves know there's not a lot of vision on the map from G-Rex because they've been pinned in their base for so long, and Aphromoo already over there sweeping out the pit, making sure that they are going to have control in that area.
Yeah, especially if you look at the vision in the top quadrant. A couple of control wards deep. Going to place a few more wards before they start this Baron, I'm sure. And wait for the minions to crash. I mean, bottom inhibitor will respawn fairly soon, and if you look at the waves, it will take a little bit of time before they're threatening the base. But 100 Thieves have got absolute control, so they don't need to rush this. They want to pick up their first win in the group stage, tie the record with Fnatic, and pick up that much-needed W when you start looking towards the second half of the round robin.
Yeah, and also just starting to build that confidence, and you can see the focus on vision here. 3 pink wards for Anda. We just saw one drop by Aphromoo. Ryu has one as well, and they're trying to cover this area, trying to clear out as much vision as possible to give Ryu and Aphromoo in particular some room to play with those hooks, with those picks that they're going to be looking for.
Yeah, good response here. Ledgeline once again will be the opener, but Someday has not taken any damage. And yes, the stone plate is used, but I'm looking for some sort of follow-up. Where are the hooks? Death sentence or the chain. If one of them connects, somebody will die. PK goes all the way forward and then starts to run away. No flash available to him. Dredgeline will cap.
The fear on 4!
Manages to find it. PK's down. Look at G-Rex's HP bars. They're nowhere to be seen. The burst damage is immense. Stitch jumps onto the back line, but it is simply too little. It is simply too late. And 100 Thieves turn towards the base.
It was Someday's fight. He finds the ultimate, hits them all with the fear, and they are going to find their first win at Worlds.
100 Thieves with a fantastic close to the game. They take down the Nexus turrets after acing G-Rex. 100 Thieves pick up their first win at Worlds and another win for North America.
That's a big one for 100 Thieves. This is a team they needed to beat to be able to have a chance at getting out of groups, to build that confidence, and honestly, to shut up some of the doubters, to show that they can perform on the international level. A good game here against G-Rex.
Completely agree. And I really, really want to resonate on that point. It's one game analysis is not fair to anybody. We need to see the whole group stage. There's 48 games played by the end of the day. We're only going to have 18 of them wrapped up. 100 Thieves, very clean victory. We got our analysts ready to break down how 100 Thieves picked up their win. So Dash, take it away.
Thank you very much. Quick shot. Big win for 100 Thieves here to establish themselves on the scoreboard in the early stages of the group stages. But again, great challenge out of G-Rex. We saw many back and forth moments. They really pushed 100 Thieves to need to make some solid plays in order to come away with that victory.
And it was a lot of team fighting as well, and I think that's where 100 Thieves felt comfortable in that pocket. You know, when it's kind of going back and forth, when you're shooting from the hip, but when it is this collective big 5v5, if there was going to be one point in the game that you would have faith for 100 Thieves, I think it is kind of around those big sweeping ARAMs in that mid lane.
Yeah, and it's in close games where they don't get steamrolled early on. This is one where they're actually able to get some of the aggressive moves at the start of the game. Love the Thresh for Aphromoo, love the Xayah for Rikara. And the Xin Zhao, I think, is going to be seeing a little bit more play as we move on group stage, since so many of these tiltable lanes, like skill matchups, can be turned by an early game jungle.
And I completely agree with you, Jack, because I think what we saw when they played up against Fnatic was that Ander made some pretty solid early game moves, but this time around he actually turned it into advantages for 100 Thieves. And the fact that they're able to get through what has often been a challenging laning phase into a pretty stable and solid mid game, this is what we heard from all the NA analysts, which is very much, if they can just get through a rough laning phase, then we can actually start to see some of the team fighting prowess of this 100 Thieves.
And that was the key thing for me. You know, hindsight analysis, the fact that Candy is more of a, to me, defensive mid laner, I think really helped him protect Ryu. I think he had a good escape on his LeBlanc. He didn't get solo killed 5 times, so obviously that's going to help. And it allows Ander to just not have to play, you know, babysitting duty. He's actually able to make proactive plays and get them to this stage in the game.
Now, a player that I do want to take a moment to talk about, though, for 100 Thieves is Rikara. Because let's not forget that just over a month ago, Cody's son was the starter for this team. And I'm going to throw this out there. Rikara is the least experienced player in terms of professional games played of every player in attendance at the World Championships, with 5 pro games before coming to Worlds. So with that in mind, with the stakes, with the pressure, this idea that, hey, I have so little experience and I'm expected to step up on this stage, the performance he put up in this game, it would be well beyond expectation.
I mean, it's pretty much step up or shut up for a lot of the NA fans that like blew down on 100 Thieves. In fact, even the analysts, I think we all predicted against them. You know, a lot of people weren't very high on 100 Thieves coming in. No one knew what it was going to say. And a lot of it was because of Rikara. You know, his name came up every single time. No one knows what type of ceiling to expect from this. No one knows what type of experience he's going to bring. And to go 9-0 and 9, I think he just shut everyone up.
Yeah, I thought he had a great game. I hope he can sustain some of this success. The Urgot bought space in team fights, right? The Thresh Lanterns were incredibly effective. I do think G-Rex played poorly, but this also tends to happen all the time for like Aphromoos ADCs. They have like this giant KDA, and everyone's like, come on, give him credit.
Right.
We're going to see how it goes on.
Oh, yeah, very much so. I mean, I think it is... You're not without concern around Rikara due to the CSDs from previous games that he's had. This is just one solid game, and it's great to see him step up in that moment. But as you mentioned, it is a duo in that bot lane, and the MasterCard player of the game is going to Aphromoo this time around on that Thresh, being the playmaker the team needs to pick up the win.
And he landed some fantastic hooks this time around, whether it be securing a defensive kind of hook in this situation to kind of prevent Candy from swinging the team fight so heavily in the favor of GRX. Yeah, like that's the kind of hook, but also a number of saves to get his teammates out of clutch situations. I feel like that he was a big part of swinging the team fights in favor of 100 Thieves.
And the thing is you look at Aphromoo's career, the fact that he's had 80 carries, Stixxay, Cody-san, now Rikara standing next to him, you know, these names have never really been like the forefront of North American talent, even on a domestic, never mind an international stage. But Aphromoo standing next to him, he like creates superstars. So a Thresh performance like that allows Rikara to shine, and I'm just happy that his support finally gets some love.
Tons of experience, and therefore it is no surprise that when they do find themselves in a situation late in the game with some gold in their pockets, that they can actually navigate their way to a victory. I do want to touch on G-Rex just real quick, as they sit now at 0-2. And in particular, I want to take a look at the jungle position, because throughout the play-ins, we saw the team using Empty, and to large success, as here they are in the group stages now. But Vedius, Bebe coming in, hasn't necessarily looked terrible, but maybe a bit underwhelming with an 0-2 scoreline.
Yeah, and the thing is, Bebe was the jungler that they used way more during the regular season. We had question marks like, why are they using Empty? This guy only has 5 games. But then you see him in the plains, and his synergy with Candy was spectacular. You look at his KDA, you look at his kills plus assists at 15, and that's the big thing, 2.8. He was very active in the early game, especially with his mid laner. Whether it be playing around him or just looking for early game opportunities, I was really impressed with what he was able to pull off. And I'm just asking the question, why are we not trying to mimic that performance here in the group stage?
Yeah, Jay, you just said earlier in this segment that you could see Xin Zhao as a pick rising to even more priority due to some of the early action, the increased early action. If Empty excels at that, would you not consider bringing him in from this point forward?
Yeah, if I'm G-Rex, I would want to play him from this point forward. I think if we're trying to look at what they were thinking, they were expecting to make it out of play and thought, hey, we're going to bring in a new look, an unscoutable jungler here. But I think after losing to 100 Thieves, when there are 2 bigger fish in the group already, I think it's time to put back in the guy you won with in the playing stage.
Very much so. 100 Thieves now moving to 1-1. This does tie them up with Fnatic. And so while earlier today, I was almost, saying farewell to the group as IG Fnatic will get out 1-2. There still has to be some consideration to Fnatic, overlooking opponents like 100 Thieves and G-Rex.
Are IG and Fnatic monster favorites in this group? Absolutely. But sometimes one game is all it takes to turn the tide. So Fnatic and IG need to make sure they're not looking through 100 Thieves or G-Rex. The G-Rex game against IG was close until about 20 minutes yesterday. A lot of stuff can happen in best of ones if your draft goes wrong or your early game goes wrong. So while we expect the group to fall a certain way, the fact that them both are 1-1 means Fnatic has to continue to take care of business.
Yeah, without a doubt. Another player that we didn't really touch on in this game in particular is Ryu for 100 Thieves. Interesting player in my mind just because of his history around international performances. You recall some of the H2K days. He actually showed up at Worlds tournaments, but then even domestically, we've been both disappointed all the way to elated around what he can do. This time around, some fancy feet on the LeBlanc, but we haven't necessarily seen anything that, would encourage us to put him next to the likes of a Caps or a Rookie or any of the other larger talented mid laners.
And I think the unfortunate thing for Ryu is it's just kind of the prestige of his career. He has such a deep and long resume that when you hear a name like Ryu and you see him, you have super high expectations. And even when he does hit good, he's not hitting great, and he's not hitting great consistently. And unfortunately, it kind of puts a blemish on his record when speaking about him.
All right, but if he steps up, it could make the difference for 100 Thieves rather moving forward. To get more insight on that victory, let's send it over to Avli for an interview with the player of the game for 100 Thieves.
Thanks, guys. I am here with player of the game, Aphromoo. 100 Thieves picking up their first win here at Worlds. Congratulations on that, and what does it really mean to the team?
Thanks. Getting our first
Coming down, and Aphromoo's death sentence doesn't find a target, and it continues to chase. The dredge line pulls him in. First blood to Rikara. He's blown up Bebe! Candy goes golden in the middle of the fight, and Aphromoo's trying to run for his life. Rikara is untouched so far, and Stitch is being run down.
Holy shit. Nice.
To him. Dredge line will catch.
The fear on 4!
Manages to find it. PK's down. Look at G-Rex's HP bars. They're nowhere to be seen.
Welcome back to Assist of the Week. During the EULCS regional qualifier match of Schalke 04 and G2 Esports, Schalke was looking to spring an attack. Upset and Vander initiated onto Perks, causing G2 to respond with everyone sparking a full-blown team fight. A fight that quickly started to go in favor of Schalke. Looking to cut their losses, G2 started to pull back, but Amazing was not finished with them and knocked G2 Esports back into Schalke's clutches. This allowed Schalke to score 4 kills and claim victory over G2.
He flashes forward for that one, continues to run him down, needs some support, and Disdain flips him over the shoulder.
Welcome back. Before the break, we had some technical difficulties during the Aphromoo interview, but don't worry, we hit that record button in its entirety, so we're going to take a look at it now.
Thanks, guys. I am here with player of the game, Aphromoo. 100 Thieves picking up their first win here at Worlds. Congratulations on that, and what does it really mean to the team?
Thanks. Getting our first win at Worlds is definitely a good confidence boost. Our first game on stage, we played very scared. Didn't think we played as aggressive as we would have liked to. So this game coming into it, was just very important that understood how to play our style, be confident, take opportunities when they presented it to us, and make sure we keep talking.
And the community has been pretty critical of REBROADCAST since he was subbed in, but he actually had a great game today. What's your experience with him been like so far?
REBROADCAST had it rough. He actually had a sub in for us for semis, playoffs, third place match, now Worlds. So he didn't really have a lot of time to prep for any of this. So it's his first Worlds game yesterday, and then first win today. So I'm happy he got a win, but he's doing his best.
You guys do have the option of Cody to sub in for any of these games, and he does have Worlds experience. So what would the conditions be like to bring him in?
Both AD carries can play, so it's totally up to Prolly, but whoever plays is based on scrim performance, and then coaching staff discussing it, choosing whoever goes. And for me, it's a little hard because both AD carries play different styles, so I have to adapt to Cody's style, Sam's style, but it's still fun, and we all work together and to improve our bot lane, because bot lane is the biggest meta at Worlds right now, where counter pick bots, Zai, Kaiser are the main AD carries, so all the supports are playing a lot of playmaking and stuff like that. So it's very important that we buckle down, and having 3 people in the bot lane definitely helps a lot.
I know a lot of people have eyes on Uzi as kind of the final boss in the bot lane, but who are the big bot lane opponents that you have on your radar?
Uzi's nuts. That guy's crazy. Other than that, I think Mata and
Definitely.
Def. Mata and Def's are really good, and then Ruler and Core JJ, those are the top 3 bot lanes here at Worlds right now.
Well, Aphromoo, thank you so much, and congratulations again on the win. And for everyone else, stick around, because after the break, we're going to see RNG take on Vitality.
Thank you very much, Ovely. Very short break. Welcome back for Game 5, where RNG is facing off against Vitality. Quick shot Nazel here to bring you the cast. This game is going to be interesting, one way or the other. We're going to jump straight into picks and bans, because we know the Vitality play style. They like to go in, they like to pick fights.
Live fast, die young.
That is exactly what they want to do, and And that makes this game potentially very explosive.
Yeah.
But it could also be very risky. RNG are a team that can punish those mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Team Vitality has this playstyle where they are very committed to playing their own game.
Yes.
We have seen how good it can look. JackeyLove in particular has been excellent. I think his Echo game was a total standout so far at Worlds. But when you do play kind of that high risk, high reward style, when it goes good, it looks incredible. When it goes bad, the game often falls apart very, very quickly, right? And that's, I do think though, one of the ways that a team like this can beat a team like RNG. Because I don't think you're going to beat RNG in a straight up, slow-paced macro game. You have to be explosive. You have to catch them off guard. And you know, playing your own style, playing unique style is one way you could do it.
Yeah, and of course, talking about explosive style, yesterday RNG took down Gen.G with one team fight.
Yep.
And 60 seconds later, they killed the Nexus. So let's see whether or not RNG are going to be able to find the same opportunity today. In terms of draft, Azael, Sion, Ornn, and Alistair taken off the table. Kai'Sa, Xayah removed, and there's still one ban remaining, but, you know, Urgot's up there, Akali's up there. What ADC are Attila and Uzi going to play? We're going to have to see. I think Uzi played Sivir yesterday, if I recall correctly. So, you know, there's going to be some options here, and the final ban will be Talia. Also important to note, it is Kai'Sa starting today for RNG.
Yeah, and it is very interesting to see all that attention given over to Cabochard. Really feels like they wanted to get Let Me into this kind of carry versus carry style matchup, or at least Bruiser, whatever you want to call Urgot. And I think I'm a little bit surprised, honestly, that Vitality did leave that Urgot up, but there has to be so much attention given to Uzi and kind of the picks that enable Uzi, and that's kind of what they've targeted. They've targeted two of his favorite carries, and then they've targeted Karsa's Talia, who really can get down there and enable Uzi a lot. So I do think that having the playmaking with the Thresh in combination with denying some of those picks may force him onto something like a little bit more dangerous.
I'm very happy to see Cabochard at Aatrox. I definitely trust in his abilities in that kind of carry v carry, bruiser v bruiser style matchup. But Jack Troll needs to show me a little bit more on his Thresh than he did yesterday.
Yeah.
Left me a little bit wanting. He got one or two good hooks in the laning phase, but mid-game impact was simply not good enough for the international stage, and today's opponent is even stronger.
I'm really going to be interested to see if Attila is willing to bring something out like his Draven. You know, he has shown that throughout the regular season. I think it takes something really special to beat Uzi and Ming in lane. Like, these guys are ridiculous. You heard Aphromoo talking about Uzi in the interview, and really that's the kind of response you get from anyone you ask about laning against them. They're just so damn good. So maybe you do roll the dice a little bit, go for something aggressive, and try to win in that way.
Yeah, and of course for Attila in particular, this is one of the guys who's not really spoken about when it comes to European AD carries. During the spring split, all the hype was around Schalke's ADC upset. He was the superstar that didn't make playoffs, and Attila was the last sort of rookie to the stage standing in the role. Summer steps up again, but now coming up against Uzi, not only is there the pressure to show up and perform for your own region, but you're coming up against the final boss, Uzi, and what is Uzi's year? That's what everybody's painting 2018 to be.
One of the cool things about it, though, I've got to say, is no one is expecting Attila to beat Uzi. So if you lose, it's expected.
Yes.
But if you win, if you are able to do well against Uzi, you want to make a name for yourself. How about beating Uzi at Worlds? That is about the biggest statement that a marksman player can make in this day and age. Uzi is just respected so widely. He's so dominant.
Yeah.
And Varus is a strong laning pick, so that in combination with the Thresh, we might see even more bot lane bans in the second round for Vitality, and maybe they really do try to focus on getting good matchups.
So what AD carry do you think Uzi's thinking about, knowing he's got the Rakan by his side? We've already seen the Akali, the Thresh, the Aatrox, the Thresh, and the Varus, so what direction would you like to see him go?
I mean, we saw the Sivir come out yesterday. I wouldn't be absolutely shocked to see that coming out. You know, kind of the triumvirate of ADs that are most popular right now have been picked or banned. Uzi, if he wants to style a little bit, he could give us something like the Vayne. He could give us an exciting pick along the lines of that or the Lucian, but Lucian is going to get banned out. So honestly, I'm kind of expecting a Sivir or honestly a Tristana. Tristana is another pick. I've been talking to some players who do think it's going to start coming out if there are more bans towards the marksman role, and this may be a game where he feels comfortable to do it.
Well, let's see, as phase 2 bans just about to conclude, Akali, Lucian, LeBlanc, and one last option available. And then, of course, on the side of Vitality, Jizuke most likely still looking to lock in his champion as his Kikis. Will not have access to that Echo, so maybe Syndra raises in priority. The for Jizuke, you know, something he's played a lot. Galio is a pick we've seen quite a lot. If Kikis wants to take a carry-type jungler, or if he's going to go over a tanky one, then maybe more of a carry in that mid lane.
Yeah, we also could see Kindred would be very nice, but we could actually see an Ashe come through if he wants to play more for the lane and you know, kind of go that sort of style. Kalista would be really interesting. Definitely was not expecting to see Kalista, but Kalista with Rakan does give you some very, very powerful engage. I do think that it should struggle in the 2v2 early on, but if you can find those opportunities, if a hook misses and you can go aggressively forward, there is early kill potential. In a more kind of passive lane, it would certainly be risky, but we'll see if it's going to get locked in.
Yeah, a couple seconds longer, and of course that's going to be a blind pick Irelia. Unless Jizuke really wants to surprise us and take the Aatrox mid, we'll see what option he's going to run into it. But I'm going to go back to that Kindred very briefly. You know, when Vitality subbed in Kikis, he became the point man. The team played around him. He led the way for this dive, engage, go in style, and the entire team follows and supports it. And Azael, as you talked about, Tristana will be the final lock-in.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think that Tristana does make quite a bit of sense. I mean, there's so many options with marksmen that are somewhat interchangeable, so you can go a lot of different directions, but this is something that I've been hearing a lot of people talking about as something that they feel like is just below kind of that top 3. You know it has incredible late game, incredible sieging potential. Is one of the weaker early laners, though, and I think both Rakan and the Tristana are outpaced in that 2v2 by the Varus and Thresh. One thing I would note about the Kindred here is I was a little bit surprised to see that actually locked in against a Gragas, which has already been picked, as that is generally seen as a favorable matchup there for Karsa. We are going to get the late game carry here for Jizuke, but that does make me nervous for the early laning phase. This is something, you know, I had talked about on my cast yesterday. Irelia just gets so many solo kills. It is like the most ridiculous champion in the 1v1. When you hit 6, it feels like there's such a high chance of getting that solo kill. And this is Jizuke, though, having the confidence to lock it in, believing in his play. And if he is able to actually get to the later stages, we know that Azir can take over. And secondarily, it works really well with the Kindred ultimate because you can sweep the enemies out of your own ultimate and kind of use that defensively while denying it from your opponents.
Oh, so much pressure on the Vitality squad, but as you mentioned already, the expectations here are that RNG will win. But Vitality have already defied expectations by performing very well in their first 2 games. You can argue they should have won yesterday. They should have been 2-0 in the group. Let's see how far down the rabbit hole we can go. How will Vitality perform? And that man on your screen, Jizuke, I was nervous about his performance on the international stage. He had a tumultuous summer split, and now he's going to be playing the Azir. He's going to be repping the SKT skin, no less. And again, you know, all eyes on Vitality because they are the ones that have to show us that they can challenge Royal Never Give Up, one of the pre-tournament favorites for the World Championship title.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're really starting to kind of feel like the final boss. Everyone looking towards Uzi, everyone talking about Uzi, and just how good RNG has been.
Listen to that crowd, the fan chants and the support for RNG. It's electric, and there's a lot of love and a lot of excitement for very good teams and very good players.
It's been this long build for RNG towards where they are today, where, you know, time and time again, Uzi has made it far in tournaments, has been incredible, has been respected as one of the best marksman players in the world. But this is the first year where it really feels like, hey, this is their year. Maybe Korea aren't the favorites, and RNG has been building to that with victories at MSI, with back-to-back victories at Rift Rivals over Korea, with regional dominance.
Yeah.
And it really has kind of come to this crescendo here at Worlds, and we're going to see if they can kind of keep that uncrackable armor there. You know, they really do look untouchable, and I think that aura can kind of start to fade away if Vitality could take a game.
Well, I tell you what, the internet might explode if that happens. But yeah, I really agree, and I think there was a quote in an interview with Uzi very recently where he said that, you know, he's been painted as the final boss, and everybody's showing him as expectation-wise, maybe, you know, the player and the team that's meant to win. Early advantage as Uzi picks up the ward kill already. And, you know, Uzi actually said that comes at, makes him a little nervous, a little scared. There's more eyes, more expectation, and right now Uzi and Ming are going to start trading with Attila and Jack Troll. The Flake comes down, just a little bit of trade, but Nothing substantial yet. It's just the race to level 2.
Yeah, I mean, being the favorite isn't always easy.
No.
I really do think, especially in this day and age with the pressures of social media, it can be difficult when the only acceptable option is winning. And that's kind of, you know, the position that RNG is in. So we're going to have to see how they can kind of deal with that pressure and how they can deal with this explosive play style that Vitality really is known for.
And the man on your screen, Kickers, this is the guy who will sort of make or break this game, in my opinion, with the Kindred. Can lead the way, can have that game-changing lands respite, especially when you consider the Azir, the Aatrox, everything on top of it. There's a lot of team fighting potential if they can get grouped up. And for the time being, Vitality pushing in the bottom lane, pushing in the top lane.
Level 1 ward that got killed is actually triggering this gank from Karsa, and here they go!
Oh, there we go. Already a knock-up onto Jacktroll. He's got the flash available to him. Gonna hold on to it until the barrel wall comes out. Body slam flash connects. First blood is available, and it will be gifted to Uzi.
So smart here from RNG. That is a reactive gank based off of that level 1 ward denial. They knew Vitality would not have the vision because they killed that in the tri-brush. So Karsa actually plans his path to end up bot lane at level 3. They get all 4 summoners and first blood on Uzi without him having to use his flash.
Yep, exactly. And you can argue potentially maybe that's why Karsa was subbed in for this game. Reads the map flawlessly. And the last person you want to be giving all that advantage to is Uzi. But again, it's just, oh, fantastic. This is the ward that was killed.
Yeah, I mean, they know the ward is down. They know that this will not be spotted, so Karsa says, great, hey, why not try this gank? And then a lot of patience here. He knows he is behind Jacktroll. He doesn't have to use his body slam until after he flashes. Just hits him with the barrel slow. Jacktroll flashes out. That guarantees he can land that body slam flash. Clean execution from RNG.
Very, very well played. So it gives RNG the advantage. Of course, Uzi got the double longswords as well as the attack speed dagger. Returning back to lane, Tilla's going to start to back away. Now, this is where the pressure is on Vitality. No summoner spells whatsoever. Ming doesn't have his flash either. But on a jungle champion like Gragas, it's so easy to repeat gank and punish if Attila and Jacktroll are out of position at all.
Yeah, it really is. And especially if you don't have any vision in that area. You know, I talked about the 2v2 advantage that these champions should have for Vitality. Your 4 summoners used now on that play. You don't get to play aggressive anymore if you don't know exactly where the Gragas is.
And of course, we're talking about this mid lane matchup during picks and bans. Until level 6, Irelia can get a little poked out, a little harassed down by those Sand Soldiers and autos. You can see it's a 13 CS advantage to Jizuke with a pretty sizable wave in front of him as well. But it's the moment that Vanguard's edge is unlocked, the moment level 6 is hit, that you then go, now you're going to be a little more careful. And actually, you can already see Xiaohu jumping forward and trading with Jizuke. And I want to see how he's going to play this matchup. Jizuke, a little bit of pressure, as is Cabo being chunked down by Let Me.
Yeah, but both the solo laners are playing quite well so far for Vitality. You mentioned the CS advantage there in the mid lane. Top lane is going quite well for Cabochard, and you know, a matchup that is somewhat debated which side has the favor, but most people would agree that it's tough for Aatrox to play aggressively into this, and you know, Cabochard has done well for himself.
Yes, exactly. And we need to see whether or not he can unlock this matchup, because remember, Vitality opted into leaving the Urgot and the Aatrox open. Those are some pretty common bans, as we've seen throughout the tournament. I think this will show his face top. Infernal Chains will come down to stand by some time. Where is Wolf? Gonna chunk out Let Me, but no summon the spell used.
Still, nice little play there from Kikis, and he didn't have to actually spend much time at all to make it happen. He does push back Let Me, and then he's looking towards the Gromp, but TP is coming back in here from Let Me, and I do think this is a very risky invade. Cabochard's going back to base, Jizuke is going back to base, and you're invading.
Well, this is a Kikis special, I am afraid. He does tend to go into the enemy jungle. Now, looking at vision and wards, RNG don't have a lot there. What needed in the bottom lane is Ming jumps in, gets chunked up. Jacktroll gets good damage down, but the Ignite was not thrown out, and Ming survives by the skin of his teeth. While that's happening, there's a skirmish being set up around the mid lane river as Karsa and Kikis looked like they were dueling over the Scuttle Crab. Instead, the focus is going to be Xiaohu. The Emperor's Divide sends Xiaohu backwards. He survives a few seconds longer. Now Kikis is running for his life. Karsa's trying to chase him down. A flash over the wall. Vitality get their first kill, and they've got a numbers advantage. Karsa's inside Vitality's jungle, and he needs Let Me to help him get out.
Yeah, and he will be able to get out here. Kikis does not want to commit to that at very low health with the Urgot available. Karsa may just stay around here. Kikis doesn't have smite, so Karsa doesn't either. We'll see if this happens.
All right, taking a look. Level 6. Waiting.
Oh, the ulti!
It's so close. They're beyond dead. Doesn't find its target. It will be enough to steal away the Bramble back, and RNG stamp Jungle Authority.
Yeah, some risky play from Kikis, but it does pay off. I mean, he steals away the Gromp. They get the 2v2 kill on Aurelia before Xiaohu hit 6.
And I also think expect more of that from Kikis. It is a double-edged sword.
Hey,
getting
so
in
far
face.
it's cutting RNG.
Here we go. And so it's keeping the gold even. But for how much longer? Level 6 hit by Karsa. And every time I see this top lane duo, there's always a potential for a dive, and this is how it all played out.
And I just really like this play here from JackeyLove. Has so much confidence. That's not a level 6 Aurelia. And Xiaohu is too far away from his jungler to be kind of clearing that pink ward here. And then this is just nice play from Kikis. You know Karsa doesn't have his flash from the bot lane gank, so flashed over. When the backup comes from the top side, he just hops back over the wall once more.
Wow, that's how Vitality got their first kill. It's how JackeyLove maintains his 10 CS advantage. And for the time being, Uzi's plus 13, pretty much even as far as the top laners are concerned. We're against that 10-minute mark, and Vitality, once again, just playing a little bit forward. Look around the mid lane, just how much vision RNG have to play with. And Kikis, he was already going into that invade. He really, really likes to play forward. He really likes to play in the enemy's face, and potentially setting up a dive here as well.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can pull this off. It would be a bit of a risky one, but you can see JackeyLove was moving up as well. And even just this pressure is very nice, because now he can go back to farming, and Lemmy has to sacrifice all that farm because Karsa is not in the area to defend him.
Very, very nice. Cabochard being assisted by the rest of the team.
I mean, that play alone, that's almost a 20 CS advantage now that has been created because Cabochard had laned well and because they're able to deny some of this. And it will be the gap closed a little bit as Lemmy picks up some of that farm, but Vitality is playing really, really well, honestly, in the early stages of this game.
Well, we need to see if they can convert it into some sort of lead in the mid game. You know, they're showing they can play even. Kikis picks up a mark from that top Scuttle Crab, and Cabochard actually came down to help out, while Vitality are playing with their vision in the mid lane. Emperor's Divide will catch onto Xiaohu. He's got flash available to him. Kikis is the target. Will need to throw down Lamb's Respite. And all of a sudden, it's Vitality in trouble. That's a great barrel. Kikis will get taken out. Exhaust slows down Xiaohu for now, but JackeyLove does not have enough damage. And RNG outplayed 2v2.
Yeah, Karsa was expecting that one, sitting behind Xiaohu as he goes in, and this time, Vitality don't have it in the 2v2. Kikis honestly did a good job sitting himself against the wall so he couldn't get knocked out of his ultimate, but there just wasn't any finishing power from them. Azir doesn't yet have an item and needs some time really to get going.
Fiendish Codex, and I think you only had one attachment dagger, so
Yeah.
it's just not enough. Well played again. Karsa, right place, right time, reading the situation is what allowed him to pick up first blood.
Yep.
And he was yet to respond for 2v2.
Exactly. And had he not been there, this play is actually perfect for Vitality. This is an easy kill, I think, in that 2v1. But because he is, they burst down Kikis so fast, he has to ult very early. And then, despite the well-timed exhaust for JackeyLove, there's more than enough left in the tank for RNG to grab that kill.
Yeah, of course, the disarm there also being so effective against Kindred. Really, really difficult to use those dance of arrows when you want to be hopping and kiting around.
Yeah.
So it's a good matchup. Nevertheless, the kill was secured by Karsa. It's 2 kills to 1. It is still an even gold game at 11 minutes. And the first big ticket item that's completed is the Stormrazor by Uzi in the bottom lane. And Attila's working his way towards that Blade of the Rune King.
Yeah, and I mean, the nice thing for Vitality here is that while you could certainly say, well, Uzi's scaling up all this time, Azir is as well, right?
Yes.
And Azir is going to be very, very strong in the teamfight phase. The thing he has to be worried about is these two guys sitting in the brush, because their engage is incredible, and Kikis might just face check this, and oh god, not where you want to be.
He will. Kikis will go down, yet instantly blown up. There's a great stun onto JackeyLove. Manages to shift those sands over the wall, but again, just good positioning, good decision-making from RNG.
Yeah, they're just anticipating the moves here of Kikis and really playing it smart. The bot lane turret likely just going to go down solo here to Uzi. More gold in his pockets, and they're looking for Jack Troll now.
All right, Jack Troll's got flash available. That's going to be a good play to slow down Karsa, but our first blood will be secured in the bottom lane. Extends the gold lead ever so slightly. And what I really like about RNG's play and how they are playing out this laning phase, it feels like they really understand or really interpret what Vitality is going to do. You know, well-researched, well-prepared, and then responding to in-game decision-making, like that level 1 ward, for example.
Yeah, I mean, they've just been really, really playing a solid game here. Vitality, you know, has kept it fairly close for quite a long time. And despite the fact that RNG, it's not really a poor RNG game by any means. Vitality just kind of has been mashing them. And this is still a game that Vitality certainly can win. They do have scaling, but again, it's about the engage from RNG. Ming and Karsa have such incredible and explosive engage that if Jizuke or Attila ever get caught and knocked in, you may not be able to save them unless Kikis is there with a key ultimate.
So while we've got teams posturing for a potential fight, Uzi will get spotted out. RNG looking for an engage, and Karsa's coming up from the river. Now, important to note, Attila is not here, so if a Rift Herald fight were to break out, this will be a 4v5, and I don't know if this is the smartest decision for Vitality. They do back away.
Yeah, I just think Vitality has no chance of fighting right now. You don't even have your Blade of the Rune King done, and Uzi already has his Stormrazor plus a Zeal on top of it, so you know, Uzi is so much more powerful at this point in the game with that additional itemization.
What do you want to see from Vitality? You know, it's 1,000 gold. It's not insurmountable. There is scaling. There are tools on the side of Vitality. So how do you want them to play to get back in lead and look towards a win?
I think you need to actually kind of protect Jizuke very well, try to get vision around this Azir so he can stay safe and farm in that mid lane. And then at the same time, you're going to have Kikis basically following around the map wherever Uzi goes, I think. Otherwise, Uzi is going to be knocking down turrets too quickly, and you're going to fall too much behind. But instead, they're going to try to make a counterplay on bot.
Yeah, Kikis is going bot, obviously, because Karsa showed top. Lamb's Respite is available if necessary. They're going to look to take down Let Me before throwing it down, and Cabo Shot will just concede passive instead of using the ultimate, so maybe that will pay dividends later. But now the tower's the focus.
Yeah, that ultimate almost expired there. He might have actually died. It was really close, but really nicely done, and they will trade a tower, so this is good for them. And then it's just about, can they defend this turret? Because if you lose your mid turret this early, it becomes very dangerous for Azir, and Ming is ready to flank this.
Nobody from Vitality's responded yet. Jizuke is holding on to the flash. He anticipated it. Look at the exit route from Jizuke. So it's 2 towers to 1, but Vitality get that extra kill. And the problem is, now Jizuke's lost his mid tower. That safe farming lane is not so safe anymore.
Yeah, it really does become dangerous. This is a nice counterpunch, though, from Vitality. You know, this is your other option. You can try to play away from the strong member of RNG, and it looks like that was the decision here. Straight in onto Let Me. Let Me avoids a lot of that damage, but Cabo Shard and Kikis focus him down, and this ultimate is about to expire. That was actually really close.
Close.
Yeah.
I trust in Cabo Shard.
Timing,
I trust in Cabo Shard. Had it been Kikis, I would have been a little more nervous. But it's like when you've got 2 save my life buttons or options, you need to make sure your communication is crisp and clear. Unfortunately, for Vitality, it was at the 15-minute mark. RNG extended their lead to 2,000 gold, 3 towers to 1, and they're just outplaying Vitality. They're in the right places, the right time, and they're making the right moves. So the pressure is now on Vitality to find those counter punches that you talked about and, you know, get Jizuke and Attila to carry positions. They've got Nashes, they've got Blade, so the tools are at least unlocked for the next year.
They certainly are, but Uzi's on 2 items, right? And this is what RNG does, I think, better than any other team in the world, is funnel gold into Uzi. This guy is such a team fight beast. They give him solo gold on towers. Anytime a kill is available, if they can donate, you sure as hell going to see Uzi getting it. And that is what gets him to these positions where he's 1,700 gold ahead. It's not even like Attila has farmed poorly, right? So that is really, really the tough part for them to deal with. And I think, you know, keeping Uzi down is such a difficult proposition for any team.
And anybody in the world,
in
fact. I mean, if you call it the pregame interview or the interview just before this game with Aphromoo, he actually didn't have words for how good Uzi is. He was like looking into a monster's face and terrified for his life. Nevertheless, it's up to Vitality and Attila to try and combat this Stormrazor's rapid fire cannon Tristana. And I need to see whether or not Jack Troll or Kikis or Jizuke can find a way to split these fights up. And this is good, an advantage on the tower, but it may be traded for 1 or even 2 towers.
Yeah, Karsa's setting up for a potential dive here. If Kikis is not there to defend Jizuke and he steps forward, he's going to die. But Jizuke is playing really smart. Jizuke has not died. He has not given up any kills to Xiaohu. And, you know, he has a significant farm advantage himself. So We'll see if they can defend the turret. It's going to be close.
Well, the tower does survive for now, and again, just very, as you mentioned, very good, very smart positioning from JackeyLove. He's going to throw down that passive, the Sun Disc, onto the mid-outer turrets, and this will help. But RNG are playing respectful.
Yeah.
They're not over-chasing and they're not over-fighting because they believe in their late game.
Yeah.
You know, if you had said to me, Zale, that at 17 minutes, Vitality would be even on gold with RNG, would I want that to happen?
Yes, every time.
Every single time.
I think Vitality have got to be very pleased with how they played them for this game. And, you know, JackeyLove, this is 3 straight games that I would say he really has been impressing.
Yeah.
He has been a standout on Vitality for me, and you know he's going to have his opportunities to carry this game. If he can play flawlessly, there's always the chance. We saw an incredible game earlier from Scout on the Azir, just absolutely decimating Team Liquid. And if you can make those plays, if you can find those Azir shuffles, you can just decide a game by yourself.
Oh, Zale, you're saying things that I want to hear. You're building hope, but that death sentence will quash ever so slightly as JackeyLove on the Thresh hasn't had much of an impact. The laning phase didn't go his way.
Oh,
look at the engage.
nice flash.
Very nicely played. JackeyLove gets out of range. The play comes down. Xiaohu's running for his life, chunked down low.
He got Uzi!
Catches onto Uzi. JackeyLove takes him down. Vitality kill Uzi.
You've heard of the caster curse. That was the caster blessing from Quickshot. You just asked for something out of JackeyLove, and he finds the flash hook on Uzi, who didn't even believe it was going to hit him. Max range. They take down the carry.
What can they do after? This just keeps the gold even. This keeps the kills even. And JackeyLove, the man who secured the death sentence, will donate a reply kill. The Vitality move, if ever I have seen.
You got to keep expectations reasonable, you know? You win some, you lose some. And this one was a beautiful flash on the engage, and actually the shuffle out from JackeyLove was even better. And then JackeyLove flashing, hooks around Xiaohu, catching Uzi, and they're able to just decimate him, taking him down, but Attila's in trouble.
He is indeed. Fear Beyond Death not even needed. Just let me instantly kills him. Carsa secures a solo dragon. And RNG, they just keep showing they are 1 or 2 steps ahead, and this is still their game.
Yeah, that War Machine just keeps on chugging. RNG just so strong throughout this tournament with Vitality. You know, this is JackeyLove now on double spell pen. He has his Nashers. He's at quite a strong point in the game. If you look over on the side of RNG, there's really no magic resist being built up besides just this one Aegis. So, you know, he is at a really strong point, and his burst is going to be powerful.
So let's turn our attention to the next phase of the game. We've crested 20 minutes. Baron comes up, and the 2 ways you can play this next phase, or the 2 main ways, playing around Baron to win or playing around split push to win. You know, how do you expect this to play out? Because RNG have actually kind of ignored the Baron. They haven't needed it to win the games.
Yeah, I think in this game, this is it's more of a Baron-style game.
Okay.
Yes, you can split push, but I think Aatrox can match and cut a wave clear against Xiaohu. But the turn from RNG off of Baron is so incredible with the Gragas and with the Rakan that you get vision around there. You're not looking to burn the Baron unless Vitality doesn't show up. And if they show up, you instantly turn and you try to get a kill.
Well, let's see how they set it up, because RNG, they push deep into this northern quadrant. They've got deep vision as well. The fact that they got all the outer towers down allows them to, you know, make that move earlier if they so desire.
And I think what we're going to see here from RNG is the third item will come through from Uzi, and then they will look for fights. When that IE is completed, he's going to be so hilariously ahead of Attila that it's like has to be a miracle fight from JackeyLove, right? You know, he is just so strong at that point because he is over 2,000 gold ahead.
Oh, there's so much tension building. You mentioned the lead that Uzi has. Carsa and Ming, they've snuck their way into this red bush.
Yeah.
Red buff bush.
Attila's got to be so careful. Like, anytime the Thresh is not right there with you, we saw Let Me solo kill him. Xiao can do it just as easy or easier.
Yeah.
Carsa plus anyone else can do that as well. So he's got to be so careful. And he is flashless because of that mid lane fight. So that's always something where you kind of have to track the follow-up. That initial flash was great from Ming, but those ultimates come back faster than the summons.
Yeah, they really, really do. And JackeyLove playing on the edge of safety, just trying to push that vision out. As Vitality shoved this mid wave down. The last turret on the outer ring remaining is mid for Royal Never Give Up. And Vitality will get a little bit of time. Not too many auto attacks onto it.
One of the things that's also going to be kind of tough here for Vitality is Kickus still is sitting on 1 mark. And you really do want to hit 4 before you're going into these mid-game team fights. That extra range makes it so much easier to maneuver. When you're going up against a long-range marksman like that of Uzi, and then all this engage where you kind of have to play that very line where you're almost in range of engage but not quite, it's so hard. You're like a 500 range marksman. It's really, really tough.
Yes, it is. For Vitality, they need to try to find some opportunities. Jacktroll, no flash, remember? Dragon Power goes up, and look at the damage. Attila was untouched. I didn't even see the melting caster. Jacktroll gets a death sentence onto Letme. All of Vitality collapse. So far, it's 1 for 1. Jizuke's the target. Emperor's Divide will not save his life. But look at Uzi. He's not even joined the fight yet. Manages to get one. Rocket jumps over the wall, and Kickus dashes to his death. RNG decimate Vitality, and they've got control of the jungle.
And that's going to be the Baron, very likely. We'll see. There's pings that were onto it. I don't know if they're going to go for it or not. No, they are. They're not going to try to 3-man it. Don't want to make the risky play here. They are still very much in control. So RNG able to come out top on that fight, and honestly, some little things kind of went wrong for Vitality that really could have changed the fight drastically. You know, the Urgot ultimate not being blocked, and now they are going to go back onto the ultimate, so make me eat my words.
Costa's going to get there just in time, waiting for him to close the gap. Cabochard may try to contest this. Let's see if he commits. Flash is available. No ultimate, no blast cone. It's going to be a bold move if he decides to go over the wall. Let's see if he decides. I'm holding my breath as Baron will go down, jumps into the pit, and RNG will secure. Jacktroll needs to get the lantern in, gets Cabochard out. Death sentence will find a target. Cabochard escapes with his life.
Yeah, I like the try from Cabochard. Even if that's like a 5% chance, it's probably still worth the play. The initial fight here in this Acer Predator replay is going very well for Vitality, and you start to think, hey, they can actually win this fight. The ultimate's very well timed. As Let Me come through, someone needs to actually block for Jacktroll, but no one is standing in between the Urgot and that Thresh. So not only does that get him the kill, he flashes in, is able to land the Fear, and that is really changing the fight. So when Uzi arrives, there's not much chance.
And you can see the Emperor's Divide used early on makes Jizuke like a fish in a barrel, and he just gets dove and blown up. So RNG take a significant lead in the game. They've been in control the entire time, but it's been a game of inches. Now with Baron, 2 dragons, kill advantage, 5,000 gold lead, 4,000 gold lead rather, and Infinity Edge completed for Uzi. Now it feels like this is RNG's time to shine.
Yeah, I think this may have been the straw that broke the camel's back. It's going to take some magic out of Vitality now, because being that full IE ahead of your opponent, really having so much experience as well. He's up 2 levels, up a full item. He's going to have a ton of range on this Tristana, and will be looking for something. Vitality has to make plays. They know this, so they're going to try to get Letme.
All right, take a look. Letme still got 2,000 HP to burn through. A flash used by Kickus. Letme may win the 1v2. Lamb's Rest Bite comes down. He flashes out of the pit. Letme destroys Kickus. That was beautiful.
That was incredible, and he's going to just scuttle away here. So well done by Letme. Kickus was on top and thought he was safe, and now Jizuke trying to get some revenge.
He is indeed. Emperor's Divide comes down. He threw down the flash as well, but it's at the expense of the base. Inhibitor number 1 falls. Inhibitor number 2 is the target, and RNG have a numbers advantage. How long will they stick around just to secure the inhib, and then they'll back away?
This is an RNG that is serious about not dropping a game. You are not seeing them make any needless risks. They are always going for the high percentage play, and they are looking so damn good here. Letme styling on him in the 1v2.
I am grinning ear to ear because of how beautiful that was. Not only did he win the 1v2, but such a stylish finish on one of the best looking spells in the entire game. Oh, nicely done. Letme, they've broken, with the help of RNG, broken open the base. It's 8k gold. Look, it's the result we were expecting, and RNG paid Vitality the respect. They played clean, they didn't overreach, but now they have all the tools they need to just finish this one out.
And I think it is the result that we expected, but we're getting there in a different way. Vitality turned in, a very competitive early and kind of early mid game in this game, and really they had their options. They had their chances. Uzi, though, it always feels inevitable that he's going to get his farm, he's going to get his items, and if you don't make something special happen, I mean, he's at the point where he's 80 CS ahead now.
Yep.
He has so much gold in the bank, and you have to kill this guy at the start of the team fight or you have no chance.
It's around 4,500 gold above Attila right now. That's Uzi, 3-1 and 0. The last remaining inhibitor turret is now the focus of Royal Never Give Up. Xiaohu is coasting into the mid lane. Kikis is already dead. No ultimate, no flash available. Emperor's Divide buys some time for Attila to take down Ming, but it's simply not enough. Cabochard's passive's been popped, and Let Me is being autoed by Attila, but there's not enough front line, there's not enough time, and Vitality will lose their last inhibitor turrets.
Yeah, that's 3 inhibs, and this is probably going to be the death push here for RNG, looking to close it out and move to 3-0 in the groups.
Wow, 4 versus 3, not gonna do it just yet.
Okay.
Azale, you mentioned it. This is the last game of the first round robin for both RNG and Vitality. This Group B will conclude not tomorrow, the day after. We'll have a whole day of Group B games. And RNG looking to go 3-0. It is a matter of clean play now.
Yeah, I mean, this is just so much more discipline than you're used to seeing in the past from RNG.
Yes.
And this has really been part of their maturation as a team, have become so disciplined, have become so clean at closing out these games, taking no risks, base, complete another item, buy your potions, get as strong as you possibly can, wait for the minions to come in, and I mean, you basically take it from, okay, you had a 98% chance to win to now you have 100.
Correct. And of course, it doesn't help having like a 4,000 gold lead if
Yeah.
3,000 of it is in coins.
Yep.
So, Kikis will once again be the target, gets stunned up by the flawless duet, but he does manage to get the ultimate off, and he gets destroyed. Fear beyond death as Kikis is face palming. He feels the wrath of Royal Never Give Up, and Ming jumps in with the quickness, gets a taunt and a knock-up onto Cabochard. He once again uses that Bloodwell to buy some time as Nexus turret number 1 is being focused. Yes, Uzi gets caught, but Uzi does not get killed. He hops and skips and jumps and kills Vitality right where they stand. The Nexus is down. Royal Never Give Up will ace Vitality and go undefeated in Group Stage 1.
And Uzi is loving it. Vitality just wanted to take him down, committing everything in that final fight. But he stays alive. He starts the resets. And RNG are going to do it.
Very, very well played by Royal Never Give Up. And give some credit to Vitality. They did put up a fight, but you could see the small mistakes, the small differences. The level 1 ward gives first blood to Uzi, and you just kind of go, yep, that's pretty much how this game's gonna go. Small little differences that give RNG eventually a snowball win.
But the credit to Vitality, despite the fact that it was, that really intelligent play from Barca, the first blood onto Uzi, they stayed competitive for a very long time. Kikis was proactive, got early kills. Jizuke laned very well against Xiaohu, staying up and farm the whole game.
Yep.
There are some positives to take away, but RNG certainly in control the whole game. This is what people want to see for a World Championship caliber team.
Azale, RNG are 3-0. They defeated all the other opponents in their group. They have an average game time of 30 minutes, 100% first tower ratio, nearly 90% Drake control. It is absolute dominance. I think it is somewhat expected, but it's still impressive to see just how well this team is playing.
It's one thing to have the expectations, it's another to be able to execute on them. We've seen so many favorites fall in the past.
Absolutely the case. For more exactly how RNG ended the first round robin 3-0, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Those were some sick stats there. Quick shot for RNG as they move to 3-0 in the LPL as a region, 7-0 at this point. Pure dominance. But I want to talk about the fact that yesterday Gen.G played a relatively close game against RNG. Vitality has followed it up, sticking relatively well in it to a point. Of course, we saw things kind of unravel there and still end around that 30-minute mark. But RNG doesn't necessarily look like they can't bleed. I've even heard you say that to an extent. I want to know, if these teams are playing close, how do we fill in those missing steps to actually achieving a victory over RNG?
So there's a blueprint on how to make RNG bleed. They fell down in the LPL, they fell down at MSI, and it has started with what Gen.G and Vitality have put together, which is contesting Uzi in that bot lane. The fact that both times he was forced onto the server in the Gen.G game, this time around he was forced all the way onto the Tristana pick. They picked up a champion like Varus, a very strong, dominant lane phase. And even at MSI, when Doublelift decided to pick the Caitlyn into Uzi, that's when you find success against this team. You can't choose to just kind of sit back, try to survive the lane, because their late game team fighting is just way too strong, which kind of goes to the next point. Gen.G did it, Vitality didn't, which is to draft tons of hard engage.
Yeah.
RNG are a big 5v5 team. You want to make sure that you can abuse the lane phase, get those stronger lane matchups, and then once you have that lead, that you have the trigger to pull to put them into the ground. Because they're going to run at you. You need to make sure that you can run back.
Vedius, I know you're on the hard engage train in particular for a team like Vitality.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of credit needs to be given to RNG and how they kind of mitigated this, because what we saw from Vitality was a Varus Thresh bot lane. This is the kind of duo that looks for advantages, looks for kills, and tries to play through this lane. You also have Kikis trying to draft towards building himself advantages, and the problem is that they actually have no reliable way to start fights and no easy lane to reliably play around from the side of Kikis. So what Karsa does is he immediately comes bot lane, he immediately shuts that down, gets Uzi ahead, and now this early game win condition of let's try and get ahead in our laning phase, they are unable to do, and they end up at like a 1k gold deficit early, which looks close, but in reality, with the comp that you drafted, you can't afford to be behind.
Yeah, and look where the gold goes as well. The super early kill always goes to Uzi. We see a lot of other teams fumble who actually gets the last hit in early game kills, because sometimes you might screw that up and give one back. Yeah. RNG never messes that up. They always get the kill to Uzi. So I think there's two things they're absolutely best at, and that's finding ways for Uzi to get as much farm as possible. You look up and he's 4-item Tristan at 28 minutes. That seems to happen every single game. And then also having the right game-ending trigger pull. That's what they did against Samsung. That's what they did against Longzhu, Kingzone Dragon X, rather, at the MSI Championship in Game 4.
Right, you got a player who's so integral to the success of a team like Uzi. No surprise then that the blueprint to defeating them does involve attacking that player. But it's so hard to do when you have somebody like our MasterCard player of the game, Karsa, behind Uzi to help match that pressure or make plays elsewhere.
And Summer Split has really been the split for Karsa in the LPL. He was the guy who walked the championship, or excuse me, the LPL championship trophy back into its podium at the beginning of the split, and he was the guy who got to lift it and played every single game with Invictus Gaming in that final. So huge recognition for Karsa by RNG, and now we're getting that recognition for Karsa on the international stage.
Yeah, and I do want to get back a little bit, Frostcurrent, into the blueprint, so to speak, of beating RNG. I want to argue that no one has been able to do it consistently, right, by the fact that they've won every tournament they've been in. And I think the best chance teams have is to harness the way RNG got to this point. And that was by RNG completely honing what their strengths were going to be, right? Let me, one of the best tank team fighters you're going to have in the game. Uzi, the best late game AD carry. So they craft their whole strategy around that. So I think the best chance these teams have is not to try and pick apart and assemble a roster to beat RNG, but rather to just pick apart and assemble the perfect roster of champions for your team's strengths. And that's going to be different for each team.
Well, it hasn't been done yet here at the World Championship. Still plenty of opportunities, though, for someone to take down RNG of the LPL. We've got one more game left in the first round robin for Group B as Cloud9 and Gen.G step on stage for our final matchup of the day. You won't want to miss it.
Hold on to it until the barrel wall comes out. Body slam flash connects. First blood is available, and it will be gifted to Uzi. Play comes down. Now he's running for his life, chunked down low.
He got Uzi!
Catches onto Uzi! Jizuke takes him down! But look at Uzi, he's not even joined the fight yet. Manages to get one. Rocket jumps over the wall and Kickers dashes to his death. Yes, Uzi gets caught, but Uzi does not get killed. He hops and skips and jumps and kills Vitality right where they stand. The Nexus is down. Royal Never Give Up will ace Vitality and go undefeated in Group Stage 1.
I'm here with Cloud9's coach, Reaper. About to go into the game against Gen.G, but one new substitution to the team, you're bringing Blabber in. So what was the decision behind that?
젠지가 지난번에 바이탈리티를 상대로 경기를 하면서 좀 공격적인 모습을 잘 대처하지 못하는 모습들을 보여줘서 그런 부분은 우리가 좀 캐치할 수 있지 않나라는 생각에 블라버를 기용했습니다.
The main reasoning behind us deciding to put in Blabber this game is because in their last match against Vitality, they showed a bit of a weakness against some aggression in game. So I thought that Blabber would have a good chance against them.
How is Blabber going to fill in for that weakness? And what are your thoughts with that coming into the game against Gen.G?
일단 블라버는 저도 컨트롤이 좀 안 되는 선수여서 일단 얘가 어떻게 튈지는 잘 모르겠지만 오늘 경기에서 하고 싶은 만큼 재밌게만 잘하면은 잘 나오지 않을까 싶습니다.
Blabber is a tough player to control. He's like a popcorn. He can pop whichever direction. I can't even control him all the time. So, but as long as he's having fun in the game and does a good job within his role, I think he should do fine today.
Well, best of luck to Blabber and trying to rein him in and be in control. But thank you so much again, and that's it for us here.
Thank you very much, Avli. Blabber's a tough player to control, but if you're going to be analogous to a food in League of Legends, I guess one that pops off is a good one, right?
Awesome.
Yeah, very much so. Hard to control all over the place, but the potential to be very explosive as a player. Again, important to note, Blabber is in for Svenskeren. Let's talk a little bit more about the differences between these two players.
Absolutely. When they brought him in, it was kind of when C9 was at their lowest point. Everyone was thinking they must win out basically in the regular season, and they brought in Blabber, who'd never played. He then decided to go 8-1 with Jensen as his mid laner throughout the rest of the split. And then he was also the player that started for them when they 3-0'd TSM in the regional qualifier. However, he has looked like he struggles in big pressure moments when he's not in the NALCS studio. That's when his aggression doesn't necessarily work. But when they want to play with this guy, it's actually letting him run the tempo of the team and making Jensen follow. So if there's ever a time to pull out what his debut was, which is the Kindred Zillion, I would want to see it this game because Crown may not be the mid laner to punish the Zillion.
But my concern comes around the expectations that Reaper has on this young jungler, because obviously the expectation is that he will be that more aggressive player and he's the guy that will get into your face. But Gen.G have demonstrated in both their games that they're able of getting these early game leads and they're able to dictate the pace and control how the early game plays out, even if they cannot secure themselves a win. So given the fluctuations in what we've seen in terms of Blabber's playstyle, I'm curious as to how he will be able to perform against such an experienced roster.
Unfortunately for me, I'm not even looking at the mid lane. I'm like, you know, that's probably going to be like a wash. Crown will control it. I'm looking at the fact that Sneaky and Zeyzal have been really struggling in that 2v2, and the bright spot for Cloud9 seems to be on the top side with FLICKR, and unfortunately he's looking across from Juve. So in every single lane, I don't know where Cloud9 are really supposed to attack Gen.G and just kind of hope that they're still playing underperformance.
And the weirdest thing for me about Gen.G as they sit at 0-2 is the fact that they've played 2 solid early mid games and then just fallen apart in the late game, which is not where you would think their strengths would lie as a team. So this, I think, is a must-win for Gen.G if Korea is going to show some fight, because their biggest rival region, the LPL, is currently sitting at 7-0, whereas I think LCK is now at 2-4.
Yeah, defending world champions, Gen.G, formerly known Samsung Galaxy. Yes. Reaper cited that he believed they struggled against aggression, particularly in that Vitality matchup, and that was one of the major reasons for bringing Blabber in. But yesterday, the game against RNG looked a heck of a lot better. So do you really think an aggressive playstyle can exploit Gen.G?
I am not convinced based on what I've seen from Gen.G, but I do think that if Cloud9 want to stand a chance of finding those fights and creating a situation where Gen.G can't match the aggression, Ornn is the pick that they need to go for. We saw it against Vitality from C9. I feel like if we see it again today and it's in the hands of FLICKR, the star player of this team, then maybe we can see them coming out with that aggressive.
Now, that said, Gen.G is a known slow starter if we're citing last year's World Championship run and how they ramped up into the tournament. And so there's a little bit of trepidation here, at least for me as an NA fan, when I'm saying we have to play them third in the groups as opposed to maybe getting that first game against them, that this could be the game where they start to turn things around.
I think Gen.G definitely comes in as the favorites, but they got to still deliver.
Very much so with that. Okay, so if they need to deliver and C9 is looking to put pressure on anyone, you're calling it Licorice. You're saying perhaps we see the Zillion or the Kindred out of the jungle mid duo.
That's what I definitely want to see.
Yeah, and if the weakness is the bot lane, what is the picks for C9 that allows them to survive the lane and let the top side of the map do the work?
I mean, I think you need to go for the Xayah. I think Xayah has showcased, at least in my opinion, as the strongest ADC pick, her safety as well as her lane dominance. For Sneaky in particular, though, I mean, he could maybe go all the way back into the pocket and look for the Jhin, something very safe in lane.
Weird to say that the team with the worst record is the one favorite in this matchup, but we're jumping into champion select, so we're headed back to Quick Shot and Azael to get you the action.
I think that's a fantastic point, Dash. It is very weird to say, but it is very weird to see how much LCK is struggling here in the group stage thus far, albeit it's only on day 3. Right, turn our attention to the draft. Analyst Desk have set up the impact and the changes to the playstyle that Blabber will bring. And just to catch us up on the draft, Tom Kinch, Lissandra, Xayah off the table, Kindred targeted towards Blabber already.
Yeah, not too much of a surprise. And it does seem like C9 are kind of catering their picks and bans to actually not going for Ornn. Very likely will be Urgot picked up here for Licorice. They want to try to play that Urgot into Aatrox matchup, I am assuming, but wow. Actually going to go for the Alistar first pick, which was not something I thought would see that much priority for Zeyzal in particular.
What does this mean? Project forward. What do you think Cloud9 are trying to do? Is just buying time and information?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just that the Asian teams have put such incredible priority on the Alistar, so not only are you getting that strong engage for yourself, you're denying it from your opponents. They have taken Tahm Kench off the table, which is something a lot of people use to answer it. And to me, this also means Licorice was happy playing both sides of the matchup. You can see that Kuve actually chose to take the Aatrox over the Urgot, as Papa Smithy has said. A lot of times in the LCK top laners actually do believe this matchup to be Aatrox favored at the highest level, whereas elsewhere in the world, we really have been seeing the Urgot win that matchup.
I'm excited to see how it plays out because Kuve yesterday was fantastic against RNG, and Licorice has really been the standout player for Cloud9. So seeing this matchup once again, but in different players' hands. And then we get, again, this East versus West, right? It's been the day of East versus West for you and I, Azael.
Oh.
The next lock-in will be a Tristana for Sneaky.
Very early Tristana here, too. So Gen.G could grab something, you know, for... I thought they might have grabbed a Varus here, honestly, but very high priority on the engaged supports here. They're going to be able to grab up the Rakan. Don't want to risk that being banned away. This does mean, though, that Cloud9 have the opportunity to actually try to target Ruler's champion pool here, while Gen.G may look to attack some of those aggressive picks from Blabber. We saw the Xin hovered. That is going to be banned away. You protect that Taliyah in that kind of 1v1 matchup. Blabber does like to play aggressive. He is not someone who is scared of taking risks. Reaper calling him a popcorn. You never know which way he's going to pop. I love that analogy now. But, you know, I think that this does hurt his jungle matchup a little bit, but the Varus taken away, as I expected. I think Cloud9 really should look to protect Sneaky in that lane.
Especially because Sneaky has had an underwhelming start to the World Championship. This is a player that has, for the longest time, just been consistent. Has been, you know, has been a player that delivers. And some uncharacteristic mistakes. So the Tristana gives him a little bit more safety in that role. Camille, once again, will be taken off. So Nocturne, Kindred, Xin, Camille. Like, where does Blabber go, you know, next? What champion would you like to see?
Olaf? Yeah, I think Olaf is probably where I'm thinking. There are other ways you can kind of look at that, right? You know, it depends on how you actually want to try to play it. He is known for his, you know, Hecarim that could come out. We did see Hecarim played by Licorice, but you can actually play that in the jungle as well if you want a really aggressive pick. We know that he can play a ton of different champions along those lines.
What would it take to see Hecarim here? Is Gen.G's comp something you play? No, we'll have that discussion off air, Zale. It's going to be the Jarman locked in. Jen's going to secure the Galio. But again, it'll be Blabber that'll be dictating the pace.
I honestly love this for C9. When you're looking at the fact that you got a J4 Galio combo when there was 4 bans thrown towards your jungle and you second rounded it, like, you're feeling pretty damn good about that. We'll be interested to see if the Aatrox is going to get flexed mid lane or if they actually want to do something like a Poppy jungle. There are a lot of options to flex around. I'm expecting Aatrox to go mid, Poppy to go top, Taliyah jungle, so that looks like it will be the answer here. Ruler on the Lucian, though, has the ability to really punish this Tristana, and it's going to be a lot on Zeyzal and his execution to really be on point with his combos. And, you know, while Sneaky certainly has made some mistakes, I think that Zeyzal has not been the strongest laner, has not really been executing on the highest level, and Sneaky's strength generally is more in the team fighting.
Got it.
So if you can get him to that team fight, you have the Galio to protect him, you have FLICKR in this front line, you have the pieces in place to keep him safe. If C9 were to get to that team fight stage, it could be looking pretty good for them.
I'm just so scared. Getting through the laning phase, it didn't happen against RNG, if I recall correctly, that dive comp over and over, and Sneaky and Zeyzal, they just got bullied around. And as you mentioned already, Azael, Rakan Lucian, there is a devastating combo. If at any point Haru decides to come down, a lot more pressure. Nevertheless, Cloud9, they are 1-1 in the group. It is in fact Gen.G who needs to pick up a win here. If they go 0-3, there's only ever been one team that has made it back into the quarterfinals, made it back to the next stage.
Who was it, Trevor? Tell me.
It was Fnatic.
It was
Azael. They managed to do so last year. And I'm going to run the risk of throwing down a caster curse. I apologize in advance if I do curse us, Azael.
Okay.
But we have already seen one North America win today.
That's true.
If Cloud9 use all the tools you talked about to pick up the second North America win, then you and I are the good luck charms for the NALCS.
And you know what that means?
Tell me.
It actually becomes a contractual obligation that you then cast the rest of the North American games
Well, you
at
speak
Worlds.
you speak to the producers.
You should have read the fine print. It's in there.
If it happens, we'll let them know. But it's all on Cloud9 to prove us to be the good luck charms. And we've already highlighted some of the strengths and the weaknesses in the bottom half of the map, but let's turn our attention to this top half. Poppy into Urgot, it's not something we've seen a lot this World Championship, but I can see how the tools of the steadfast presence and being able to deny some of the movement abilities on Cloud9 will really benefit Gen.G.
And I think denial is the key word there. You're going to be looking at Cuvée to really use that steadfast presence well to actually be able to deny the Jarvan engage, Galio jumping forward, Licorice jumping forward, the Alistar jumping forward. Like, everyone can get actually blocked by that. So it's about that timing. It's very much not about the lane. While he may be able to kind of hold even, you do give Licorice the laning advantage, and he should have pressure. That, to me, puts more onus on Cloud9 to try to make plays around the map with this Jarvan, try to get in the face of Haru, and maybe look to kind of link up with Jensen and try to play for this Galio Jarvan 2v2.
It's amazing how much energy and excitement there's in the background just for dancing. And you've touched on all of the abilities and key tools that Gen.G and Cloud9 can touch. I'm very anxious for Cloud9 because the man that will disrupt all of their mobility, all of their engages, is Cuvée. And this is just a guy who shows it. He gets the world's buff every World Championship. And he's on the game-changing champion in Poppy. Nevertheless, turn our attention to the screens. JackeyLove and Ruler. Didn't see them go for the invade. I was holding my breath. Aphromoo lauded them as one of the top 3 duo lanes in the entire World Championship.
And look at this. Licorice is still not in lane. He's actually zoning Cuvée just out of that wave. So pretty interesting stuff. Does chunk him down a little bit, and neither of the members will lose experience, which is kind of that key thing to pay attention to. But yeah, definitely Cuvée has been insane, not only at Worlds, but throughout the gauntlet. He was actually nuts for Gen.G, and really one of the big reasons that they even qualified in the first place. So definitely a lot of credit to him, and we're going to have to pay so much attention to this bottom lane and how Sneaky and Zeyzal are really able to manage it, because you can see how much emphasis Ruler is putting on actually anytime Sneaky steps forward to CS, he's stepping forward to trade.
Yeah, and you can see Gen.G going to get the advantage here towards level 2. Zeyzal and Sneaky respecting it and backing away. Poor JJ, now the tempo has turned. He steps all the way forward and says, "You shall not pass," pushing Cloud9's duo lane back. Kind of expected, and I think this is how this lane will play out for the next few minutes. So we need to see if Cloud9 will get
FLICKR is behind Crown, though, and Jensen has level 3 now.
All right, the taunt will come in shortly. Flash is available to Crown. Gets knocked up in the air by the flag and
Should
drag.
be going down.
200 hit points. The Winds of War are flashed away from, and Blabber, the substitute, gets first blood. But how on earth did they trade back? Was that the Ignite? Yes,
Yeah, the Ignite does finish him off. Still, though, for C9, they pick up first blood. It does give Crown an advantage in the 1v1, though, so Jensen is going to have to be very careful about that. Well played by Crown to trade back. Zeyzal and Sneaky now, it's up to them to just farm well under the turret. They have been pressured in, but if you can keep your farm high, that is okay. It's not that easy CSing under turret, though, with the Tristana and that explosive shot passive.
Yeah, it gets very frustrating. Relic Shield stacks were there for
Pretty good,
Zeyzal.
though.
Manages to get most of them, as you would hope to see in this level of play. But for Blabber, very exciting to see him, first game, picking up first game.
Yeah, this is honestly really nicely done there. Jensen doesn't get out of the Infernal Chains, and I don't think he needed to commit that far forward, and then the cannon is actually on him. He could have perhaps backed off. I'm not sure if it would have made the difference. It's hard to tell, but the cannon stayed aggro on him, and perhaps if he backed all the way off, he could have survived, but I do think he didn't even need to commit that far forward, and that Jarvan could have finished off the kill.
I wasn't even watching his HP bar, but take a look at this. The Taunt connects, as well as the Demacian Standard, and the Dragon Strike. Crown goes low. But yeah, I mean, you can't afford a mistake like that, or you can't afford to give up that kill to a cannon minion, especially into this Aatrox.
Well, and to be fair, again, the Ignite may have finished him off regardless, and so I'm not sure there, but I do think he could have backed off earlier either way and probably survived. That being said, it's a nice return gank from Blabber to try to make sure Jensen stays safe in this lane.
Well, let's turn our attention to Crown on the Aatrox. You know, Crown, as far as a mid laner goes, has really traditionally most of his career been that defensive control mage star. What do you think of him on an Aatrox?
Hey, I mean, he obviously has the confidence here. You know, a lot of people think of Crown, they think of, okay, yeah, it's the guy who played Malzahar into FLICKR, it's that sort of, you know, defensive neutralizing style, but he's confident to go into Jensen, and he's winning this lane.
Yeah, I think somewhat expected during the early stages as well in terms of the kit, but this game may be defined by mid. Blabber and Haru making their way. If anything happens, then they're both there to engage.
And remember, I mean, they flexed this pick over there to try to give it to Crown, knowing that it would be into this Galio. So certainly Crown was happy to take that matchup, and I think it was more about giving him the preferential 1v1 than it was about anything else happening on the top side of the map. So Jensen is going to have to play well to kind of hold safe. That being said, Galio at 6, if he has the push, can really affect the other sides of the map and combos so well with that Jarvan. So he could look to make playmaking elsewhere.
Yeah, and we need to see it from Jensen as well. You need to get Licorice or Sneaky ahead to have that mid to late game insurance, you know. Nevertheless, you're getting me
Haru's here.
This will be a 2v2. Jensen's pretty low on HP. Blabber needs to hit the knockup if the fight ensues. Core JJ's arrived as well. Cataclysm comes down. Crown gets the knockup as well. And Core JJ picks up a kill for GenG.
Yeah, Blabber hit 6 there and thought, I can kill this guy before he actually, you know, gets enough health to kind of survive. But unfortunately for them, Core JJ was in the back and Aatrox hit 6 too.
And there we go, Azael. We've seen the popcorn popping off and popping down.
Yeah, so watch this one more time. It's all about the experience here. They see Haru coming in, so they're like, okay, back up. But then Blabber, he's hitting the minions, and right as he hits 6, he's like, all right, in I go. But the level up as he's getting comboed there from Crown, and the fact that Core JJ shows up, such a good roam there from Core JJ, means they can't get anything done.
No, they cannot. So GenG take the kill lead at 2-1. And very, as you mentioned, good roam. Core JJ understanding or reading how much focus was put mid, so he's dancing around there to try help out Crown.
And using the pressure that they had bot lane, because honestly, you have to give credit to Sneaky and Zeyzal. They are doing very well. If Sneaky picks up all this farm, he's actually up in farm over the Lucian. So what they did utilize that pressure for was the ability to roam, was the ability to impact that 1v1.
And the question is, will it come back to bite GenG in the bottom? Because if you don't punish this Tristana and get ahead, I much prefer Tristana in the mid to late game team fights than I do a Lucian, especially when Sneaky needs some of those safety tools, the rocket jump, the buster shot, to help him out. To you know, find a performance that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, and it's really hard to tell, you know, if it is going to kind of come back to bite them or not, because I would say so much of it is about the playmaking with this Poppy, right? You know, sure, Rocket Jump gives you a lot of safety, unless you actually get stopped by the Steadfast Presence and then just instantly die to Rakan engaged, right? You know, things can change very quickly, so it's going to be so much about how GenG executes in the fight, I think, and also about when and where C9 choose to engage, because a perfectly engaged Alistar, J4, Galio flying in, sneaky free in the backline looks great, but you choose the wrong fight where someone is there for the counter engage and Poppy knocks out your front line and the Tristana dies, well, hey, that's a totally different ballgame.
Yeah, absolutely the case. We saw some really big Poppy ultimates back in EULCS. It is quite literally game-changing.
Yeah.
Especially when you get around the objectives like the Baron, like the Dragon, but those are still many minutes away. We're not even 10 minutes into
Blabber.
this one. Jensen won't be able to get the punch to the face, but does land the taunt. Reaver's wall comes down, and Haru's going to look for a seismic shove. Flash away from Blabber. But that is still, you know, a turnaround. Remember, C9 started that fight. Haru responded.
And it is a trade of flashes, so certainly not bad. And this is why you bring Blabber in. It's aggression, right?
Yeah.
And you can't expect every single gank to work against a team like Gen.G, but they are certainly not allowing Crown to play the game he wants to play, to dominate in the 1v1. He's constantly being pressured, and I think the trade of flashes there is certainly fine. You could look to roam this again. FLICKR coming down. Potentially they look for something. The Infernal has been started, but C9 knows this is available.
Blabber can't get in, will be a little too slow to the party.
Yeah.
So Gen.G pick up the first Drake of the game at 9 minutes. I like seeing Licorice roam. We've not looked at this Urgot into Poppy matchup a lot. They're bang on even in CS. Ninja Tabby and Balmy Cinder already picked up Cuvée, but we're getting to the point where they could consider roaming. I'm just going to keep my eyes on when teleports will be available.
Yeah, definitely the case. I think Licorice is certainly going to have priority, so he has an easier time roaming because he should have the push in most of the circumstances. So, you know, if he pushes in Cuvée, he can look to go mid and try to help out there, or maybe try to play for a Rift Herald. But when Cuvée has that TP available, the impact of a Poppy flank with a TP is so devastating.
Yeah.
So certainly they're going to have to make sure they're really tracking those cooldowns. But, I mean, this is a dead even game.
Yes. And that's exactly what you wanted. You wanted to see that from Cloud9. And for Gen.G, just a reminder that yes, they are 0-2 in the group, but both of their previous games, you know, Gen.G looked very competitive. They had a significant gold lead against Vitality. They were in the lead against RNG before they lost one big team fight, but this entire game has been about mid lane so far. Ignite's thrown down into Jensen. Zeyzal comes in to help out.
Here's Blabber. No, he's not going to commit to it. They don't know where the support is, so I mean, nice try there from Zeyzal, but Crown was just too fast with the ultimate. If he actually didn't get the ultimate off in time, Zeyzal would have straight up gotten that kill, but he does commit both summoners and not able to execute on it. They are trying to protect Jensen here now, though. Allow him to get the push, allow him to reset. You can very clearly see C9 has put so much emphasis into keeping Jensen in this 1v1 and trying to get him an edge.
Yeah, despite being, what, 15-odd CS down, he's marginally ahead in gold. So, of course, Crown's kill is helping out there a whole lot. And it is even in every other lane. Sneaky's already got the Storm Razors completed.
Yeah.
That is a great sign. And we're seeing a pretty extended trade there in the top lane as Haru and Core JJ are littering wards. So top lane, bottom lane dive at some points.
And this is honestly really what you want to see, you know, out of a team like Cloud9. This is the style of game that you would see them playing in the NALCS, right? You want to see teams play your game, play your style. Don't be scared of what the opponent is going to do, because if you see the pacing of the game, if you say, all right, we're just going to back up and we're going to try to respond, you've already lost against a team of this quality. So Cloud9 certainly, not all of their punches are landing, but they are swinging.
Yeah, I mean, you can see there, Zeyzal tries to go in for that engage. 4JJ easily escapes, and Zeyzal's now lost his ultimate. So with the wards that were already placed in the bottom quadrant of the jungle, and the fact you've got a Talia, there is a very real threat of a dive. Haru's going to hold on to that seismic shove for now, and Sneaky and Zeyzal, they're not done yet. Jumping onto Rulo, still got both summoners.
Yeah, and I mean, while they did get Zeyzal's ult, they got Core JJ's ult and his Ignite. So honestly, not too bad there for the C9 duo, and you know, while they do have pressure, you don't want to let this reset. That's going to be really awkward. Okay.
Managed to get it just in the nick of time. But that's really useful. I mean, when you consider no towers have fallen yet, and Rift Herald for C9, again with Blabber, again from moves from Blabber, I'm very impressed with his opening game here at Worlds. Blabber playing to what you expect from an ALCS. And now we need to see whether or not C9 can survive if a dive happens.
Yeah, this is going to be scary now for Sneaky. He's in a potential 1v3 type situation. I don't think they know exactly where Zeyzal is, though. So that is kind of what is making them hesitate to actually go for it. And while Blabber has mostly been the one making the plays, Haru has been able to respond. He has prioritized farming. He has gotten a lot of levels here. He's actually 2 levels up currently on Blabber. He took the Infernal. So Haru has been going for the consistent play, the consistent move, where he is guaranteeing gold advantages, where he's guaranteeing neutral objectives. And you know, that is something that is certainly a very viable strategy itself.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that's going to prove to be impactful in these next few team fights. I mean, gold is even between Blabber and Haru, but when you factor in the additional stats of 2 levels, that gives you a significant advantage on the Gen.G side. And You know, every single time I see these Samsung skins, I'm reminded, of course, Gen.G, the defending world champions, former Samsung Galaxy. They need to pick up a win here, going down 0-3 in the group.
Ooh, roaming up. They might look for this fight here. Zazel's coming.
It's a terrifying prospect, and Gen.G Crown is caught out, knocked up in the air, taunted in place. All right, we'll be able to revive in a moment. How much time can Core JJ buy? Blubber dunks the kill down. Teleport's coming in from FLICKR as well, so this will mean a pressure onto the tower, and they're going to summon the Rift Herald as well.
Yeah, they've got to get more when you actually go through with that teleport. They need to try to get this turret. Nice Talia wall, though, is going to kind of disrupt this a little bit. And Sneaky did go down to the bottom side, so I don't think they'll actually be able to finish the turret. Still, they get the charge off. They do have Kube back in base, and he's looking for a potential TP flank here, so C9 has to be sure to not overstay.
Yeah, this is threatening and scary. Yeah. There is pressure on the bottom tower, so if Cloud9 don't concede anything, then Sneaky will get a lot of uncontested time and damage. It ends up being a kill to Cloud9, but nothing more than that.
Yeah, still, nicely done by Cloud9. They're taking their chances. They're looking for these plays constantly. That's what you want to see with this composition. Sneaky is up 2 farm on the Lucian. You're going to feel really good about that as the Tristana and the fact that Cloud9 are turning in a pretty solid game.
Yeah, I think Jensen's in a whole lot of trouble. Sticks around, gets punished by a 4-man roam. And I actually think it's really problematic as Haru that picks that kill up. He's already, you know, fairly far ahead of Blabber. Yeah. And he's just going to accelerate his item build.
Yeah, and I mean, Talia puts out so much damage here, especially when it is kind of the sole magic threat. People are going to be looking more towards armor. You can see a couple of ninja heavies picked up, right? You know, people are going to be itemizing more towards that very often. And if Haru gets to a quick double spell pen, that is a terrifying Talia that certainly has the potential to take you down with one flame.
So 15 minutes in, tower first blood will be secured by Gen.G in the bottom lane. This extends the gold lead to 2,000. They already have an Infernal Drake in their pockets and a Clown Drake available to be secured. So the game is playing out a little bit as expected in the favor of Gen.G. It was the team coming in expected to win. But Cloud9, they are still close enough. They've got all the tools with this team composition to very easily turn team fights around.
Yeah, and they're looking for a play here down on bottom lane. You can see Kuve is backed up, looking for a potential TP. There was 4 members cheating down to the bottom side as well.
And of course, there's no TPs on the side of Cloud9. You know, FLICKR is sitting on Ghost Flash. Jensen's is on cooldown. Yes, he's got the ultimate available, but needs to be close enough and anticipating it. I've been impressed by Gen.G's vision. They've had a lot of control in that bottom quadrant for the majority of this laning phase.
Yeah, they really have. And you know, really kind of the biggest mistake has just been for C9, that one pick on Jensen. They guess that was really the kill into the bottom lane turret. And besides that, the gold was quite even. Gen.G is sitting at a comfortable advantage now, you know, with the double dragons, with the gold. You're going to start seeing some items completed a little bit faster than Cloud9 can do. But still, they have a very good late game teamfight composition. Certainly are still going to have their chances. And I think one of the nicest things to see here as a Cloud9 fan is that they are being pretty conscious of where Haru can be, and he has not been able to be finding a lot of ultimates to kind of just cut people off.
I completely agree. Every time we look at Sneaky and Zazel, they feel like they're backing off at the right time. They are respecting any potential engage, and they haven't been punished more. And I can't get away from the fact I love Tristan in his late game team fights. I look at this team on Gen.G. Aatrox, yes, has the passive to come back to life, but isn't the tank, yes. But let's see what Cuvée can do. Goes all the way forward, throws down the hammer shot. Zazel's in range. Blabber's coming too.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, as a Gen.G fan, one of the things you're going to like is how little damage Cuvée just took there from Sneaky. Because the only AP threat on this team is Galio, and he's just going to pure stack armor here. Cloud9 will be able to trade a turret and perhaps actually get the mid lane one as well, which is very low. But you can see Crown is running out there to defend it. We'll see which choice he makes, because Cloud9 could just continue to push bot lane and try to get mid lane at the same time.
Oh man, okay, splitting the map on multiple sides. Ruler will take down the top tower, and Cuvée and Crown defend bottom inner. Haru's waiting to cut off any sort of retreat path. So there is a collapse potential. Haru's going to step forward, make his presence known, and Cloud9 come out better in this scenario.
Yeah, only a 1K gold advantage. Both teams, you know, making the plays where they can, respecting the power of their opponents. Gen.G is making the play on the top side. Cuvée defends as long as he can. Hey realizes it's an uneven side of the map. I will back off. The teams are playing a very intelligent game. We really are setting up for that team fight stage where it's going to come down to execution. It's going to come down to which team gets the better engage, which team plays those fights out perfectly. And certainly Core JJ is going to be looking for Sneaky on these engages.
He's going to be able to find Jensen now if Gen.G want this.
It's a scary man to
Or
dive.
Zeyzal. Zeyzal's got flash and ultimate. We'll be able to throw the ultimate down and just get burnt through. I mean, 3-on-1 in that scenario. Now all of a sudden Jensen's the target. Yes, he gets the taunt and enough time to flash out to safety, but flash burned, kill onto Zeyzal. Gen.G in control of the map.
Yeah, you pointed out their vision, and that is really what got them the advantage. They have so many more wards on this side of the map. These offensive pigs are allowing them to set up for these plays, allowing them to get those advantages, and it's a nice move there for Gen.G. Now they get the flash off Jensen, they get the kill and ultimate from Zeyzal, and you know, Gen.G certainly look very poised. They look like they know exactly what they want to do in this game, and that is really playing heavily for Vision, for Engage.
And I need to see Cloud9 just clean up a little bit. You know, there's been some plays that they've been punished. We'll talk about that in a moment as JJ flies across the map. He takes 1 or 2 for his troubles, but Cloud9 setting up at least some sort of vision on this right quadrant, maybe for a split push.
Yeah.
Can't quite tell. But yeah, I want to see Cloud9 not get caught out in those scenarios as Haru secures the blue buff there, because it's those small mistakes, those small picks that just allow Gen.G to accelerate the game, take objective after objective, and that's what kills you at the end of the day.
Yeah, it really is. And Gen.G's honestly just doing a good job creating time to ward, creating time to get vision by pushing out these side lanes. You see Crown shoves out the top lane. Now they know, okay, Cloud9's going to be down here on this quadrant of the map. You can reset, you can try to get vision elsewhere. And you know, really, it has been about the fact that Core JJ and Haru and Ruler kind of moving around this squad. And Zeyzal was trying to fight that vision battle on his own and walks out, gets caught, but certainly easier said than done because your carries are trying to catch farm on all sides. You're trying to keep up in that regard. And Gen.G is kind of just moving a little bit faster as far as the vision goes.
And that's why Gen.G are about 1,500 gold up. You know, we've crested the 20-minute mark, so Baron is alive, albeit not going to be focused right now, maybe not for a little while. As there are still plenty of talent to fight over, and Blabber decides to go in. A lot of Gen.G members are around, gets pinned into the wall, knocked up into the air. Here comes Jensen, but Blabber's already down.
Got no flash, he's going to die too.
Retreating, gets caught in place. The punch is interrupted, and Cloud9 starts a fight that they cannot finish.
That was just a terrible engage there from Blabber. Honestly, may just be game losing here as he goes in onto Cuvée.
Well, here comes Crown. He jumps onto Sneaky. Sneaky uses the rocket jump away. Crown will get chunked down. Throws down the world.
They're still on the Baron, though.
How much HP does it have? 3,000. There's no smite available in Cloud9. They're not going to go in for a 21-minute Baron secured by Gen.G.
Yeah, Cloud9 had been playing them pretty tightly up until now, but that may be the game-deciding play. Blabber flag and drags in onto Cuvée there, and the team makes the call to try to back him up, to try to defend that play, but Zeyzal then follow-up engage onto, again, Cuvée, their tankiest member by far. They don't even dent his health, and this is not the kind of play you can make. I'm not sure what he was thinking. I mean, they didn't even have vision in the brush, so maybe he was trying to go in and clear something out or thought someone else was there. I'm honestly a bit confused, but either way, does make the engage, and Gen.G punishes them so heavily. Jensen, without his flash from the earlier mid lane dive, meant they get a second kill, they get the Baron, they're now way ahead and likely to pick up even more gold on the map.
Absolutely the case, and you know, I am happy when you see a player come in and they do play to their style, but I am sad when I see it cost the team, because that really is what we were anticipating and expecting when you see Blabber subs out from FLICKR, and unfortunately Cloud9 are now down 4,000 gold. Baron's in Gen.G's hands, and you can see them pushing this vision forward. They're pushing mid, they're pushing bottom. Gen.G just want to accelerate this again.
Yeah, and it seems like Cloud9 are going to try to just engage and try to catch the members away from the rest of the team, but you can see Haru lurking, getting ready to potentially cut off FLICKR if he does go down to defend there, and Gen.G about to pick up a couple turrets.
Well, look, Sneaky's got the rapid fire cannon and the Storm Razor, so if he can get a squishier target, there is enough damage, but the problem is you need to find a way past Crown and Cuvée, and it's very, very difficult. Crown doesn't care about Licorice in this bottom lane. He's 1, 2, and 3 on Aatrox, and he's just going to be playing a split push game with his Baron-powered minions.
Yeah, the Baron just gives them so much access to these turrets. There's really such difficulty to actually clear out those Baron-empowered minions, so C9 really are looking for an engage here. Hex Flash is bailed out of, but it's going to be likely another mid lane turret here for GenG unless they decide to make the call to go.
Well, GenG want to cut off any sort of retreat path, look for an engage. That's a pin, but I don't think Zeyzal was stunned. Manages to get the ultimate, or use the ultimate to cancel the stun, rather. And GenG, they get the tower. They don't get additional kills, but they got the bottom inner turret as well. And this is a very, very effective use of the Baron siege.
I mean, they're moving so quickly with this Baron. It's not as though they're being held at the turret for a couple waves.
Yeah.
They're going, they're executing, they're threatening to dive with the Talia, and now on a Sneaky.
Well, Sneaky's dead. He just gets caught right out. JackeyLove finds his man. GenG in a 5-on-4 now, looking for another kill. Manages to catch out FLICKR as well. Crown takes him down. GenG have got 8 kills on the board, 6 towers under their belt, and in 2.5 minutes of Baron have already got themselves an inhibitor.
I think they may have themselves the game here. Kuve's going to TP in, and they're just going to look to end it at 24 minutes.
This is a 5 versus 3, and Cloud9 have no AD carry. Nexus turret number 1 is being focused down. GenG want to pick up their first win of groups. They want to take down Cloud9, and they've already got the tools to do it. 30 seconds left on Baron. Blabber forced to flash for his life. The Nexus turret falls down. GenG stop focusing down the Nexus. They'll need a little bit more time. Here comes Cloud9. They need to interrupt. They need to stop the hit.
He's up.
Buster shot buys a little more, but Sneaky's left alone. 5 versus 1. GenG pick up their first win of Worlds.
And what an explosive engage. An explosive series of plays there for GenG. They win the fight around Baron, take it decisively, knock down multiple turrets, and then CoreJJ finds the pick on Sneaky that will end the game. That was such a fast turn of events. I mean, it went from dead even to 3 minutes later, the game is done.
Does it not remind you of how GenG lost to RNG yesterday? One opportunity is presented, and it is capitalized on in the biggest fashion.
Really was. Just an incredible engage there from CoreJJ. They just needed the one mistake, really, from Cloud9 to find Sneaky, and without their carry, Cloud9 really had no hope of defending.
Zale, this group is now extremely interesting. The first stage of the round robin is concluded with RNG at 3-0, and then you have Cloud9, Vitality, and GenG each at 1 win, 2 losses.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculously close, and honestly, you have to credit GenG for not kind of tilting, not actually falling down to the frustrations of losing those 2 close games. They come here, they play a very composed game, and they look so good in actually closing this one out against Cloud9.
They absolutely do, and of course, it is very important to remember that despite the fact GenG was 0-2, their games were not 0-2 games. You know, they were very competitive. They were very close.
Especially against RNG, who is one of the tournament favorites. You know, you knew that despite the fact that they had lost that game, that was such a stronger game than what they turned in against Vitality.
Absolutely the case, and GenG will get another shot at Cloud9 on Sunday, where we'll have Group B wrapping up their games. But before we get to that, let's wrap up today's action with World's Countdown. Cool down.
It's World's Countdown. Day 4, here we are. No, World's Cooldown. After a tough loss for Cloud9, they're up against GenG. I think Azale said it's eerily reminiscent of the way that GenG lost to RNG yesterday, where the game was close. A single explosive play turns it. GenG then rotates to the Baron, and with that has no trouble closing out the game.
I mean, yeah, you give these teams an inch and they will take a mile. It's nice to see GenG return a little bit to form. I don't think anyone really expected them to struggle as much in the early game as they would have, so huge start for Blabber. I think his first 10 minutes of gameplay was rather good. It then just kind of went a little bit sideways on this play in particular.
Really poor engage by Blabber right there. It ends up costing the team Baron. I will say they had lost a lot of map tempo before that, so they were trying to go for a fairly big play. And then here, just a snap engage by CoreJJ to get out the AD carry, and at this stage of the game, the Galio damage reduction compared to all the damage GenG had with Baron wasn't enough, and they make the correct call to go for the end.
And this is what we expect of LCK defending world champions and GenG.
It's interesting, right? Because I feel like almost any other region starts 0-2 and then has this sub 25-minute win. You're like, wow, they really bounced back.
Right.
But GenG was a team that had actually won basically 2 early mid games and then were unable to close. So it's less surprising that the 0-2 team won because they're defending world champions.
Right. I mean, we were still calling them favorites going into this matchup to begin with. I do want to talk a little bit more about Blabber because of that play in particular, kind of costing them the game. Reaper himself said that this guy's hard to control. He's got highs and lows, and for his first time out on the world stage, how do we feel about his performance, you know, including, but as well, I want to talk about things leading up to that misplay.
I mean, personally for me, I think that's just an experience thing. You know, you put these types of players in so many different situations, they kind of learn that instinct of what they need to do. You hear a lot of veteran players talk about that, and I think it's better to train that the reins, you know, the pullback, the patience, than it is to train the bloodlust. If I'm in the LPL and I'm seeing a new player hits the stage and they just immediately want to go toe-to-toe with everyone, it doesn't matter who they're across from, I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy came to play. I respect that. So as far as my first introduction to Blabber on a big stage, I really like what I saw.
Yeah, I've been critical of Reaper's substitutions before. I agree with this substitution and the fact that it gave them potentially an edge. And he knew that he was popping popcorn before the game. An unlucky pop was when he hit level 6, and then
that was heartbreaking.
In the air.
Hit level 6 off of a minion while the Jarvan ult was in the air that would have killed the level 5 Aatrox. Gets level 6, gets the health, ults, turns it around. Like, that was when the game was still in its infantile state. It could have changed a lot as it developed.
Yeah.
But that was a bad play, and then he wasn't able to...
Yeah, the first blood into that attempted kill at level 6 were very classic Blabber Jensen, you know, wrestling control of the mid lane, and then from there you would expect them to take it to the other lanes. But of course, because that single one is kind of turned, everything goes back to a moot state, and I think that's where we saw him overreaching for certain things.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that that play would have meant that Cloud9 won the game. There's so many more steps that would have had to be taken, and I think Gen.G did do a good job to not tilt after starting 0-2.
It was a very necessary win for Gen.G here to move to 1-2 again. Very difficult for a team to get out of groups starting 0-3. It has been done, can be done again, but sitting at 1-2 now, they've at least started their climb towards getting out of groups. Another team, or another matchup that we had teased quite significantly coming into the day was Fnatic versus IG, in particular looking at the mid laners, but as a whole, just a very exciting matchup. Let's talk about this one real quick.
And I think while there was a ton of exciting elements of this game, you know, a lot of back and forth kills, very action-packed, early game aggression, there was also some disappointments. And for me, it was particularly in Caps, especially for all the hype that we were driving towards this guy. The fact that they go for the blind Swain, yes, it's red side rookie, he's gonna get the counter pick. Syndra is one of his signature champions, so maybe Fnatic expected to come out. They thought, let's get a tanky pick that's just not going to fall over in the lane phase. I just felt it put the muzzle on this guy, and I wanted to see Caps and Rookie really go toe-to-toe and just unleash, and I didn't get that.
All right, he didn't necessarily fall over, but he fell down 40 CS in that lane phase, as you mentioned. Jat, Frost just called out the fact that IG was on the red side this time around and gets that counter pick. Do you think the next time these two teams meet, Caps might have a little more opportunity to showcase his prowess being on the red side himself?
I would be shocked if Fnatic doesn't save for a Caps counter pick, knowing that those two guys have the largest champion pools. I do also think that Rookie's probably going to have a better blind choice at that point, depending on how they want to protect him in the second phase of bans. It's going to be fascinating to watch.
I mean, that's the thing. Rookie had 20 unique champion picks. Talked about it with Vedius. Caps had 26, the most of anyone. Like, this guy has an insane champion pool. And again, you can maybe work through the logic of why you saw the Swain, but no one wants that next time. I actually feel cheated that I didn't get like an assassin versus assassin matchup.
At least you didn't get Sion, because that could have happened.
You're true. It could have been worse.
We could have just had a tank in the mid lane. So we got a tanky mage. I do want to take a look at one other fun interaction that took place in this game. I'm handing it right back to you, Jat. Replay of the Baron that Soaz was able to stall.
Watch this. He gets the full damage off the ult and the W, and then the stun duration would have been long enough for him to hit a charged Q, but then the Baron knocks up all three, canceling the Q and canceling the damage. I actually think he may have gotten a double kill
right?
on both JackeyLove and Rookie if that didn't happen, which would have made this play even more Soaz versus the world.
If he kills those two people with the remaining members of Fnatic showing up, is there a possibility that they clean up and take that Baron?
I'd have to think about it. They would have gone for it if I track it off
right,
Baron
just like they went for it
by the rest of the game. That was probably a better opportunity.
All I'm saying, Baron's like MVP of IG. I mean, they're against RNG, Baron's leveling up, Karsa can't get the smite, next thing is knocking Sion up into the air. Like, Baron is the sixth man of Invictus Gaming.
Baron MVP. No, Invictus Gaming played that game very well, and while that may have given a slight edge to Fnatic or helped them out, had the damage come through, IG played a good game and came away with a victory. Let's review our standout performers, though. Gen.G's Haro is our final MasterCard player of the game, and he joins the likes of KT's Mata, EDG Scout, and IG's JackeyLove, 100 Thieves, Aphromoo, and RNG's Karsa.
Super close to having all 5 roles on it today. Last day we only had laners, mid lane, top lane, AD carry. Today we get Karsa to sneak in there as well as a little bit of support love.
Man, how did we miss
No
any of
top
our
laners.
top laners? I was just going to say,
laners.
we have incredible top laners in this tournament.
Yeah, well, you know what happened today? I feel like a lot of times the skill matchups were kind of banned out. I think teams have gotten a little bit better at neutralizing the Urgot. The closest one was definitely Sumday's Urgot. It was incredibly close to being player
that's
of
a
the
good
game.
point, yeah.
He missed a lot of ultimates in the mid game, even though he had that amazing one in the end, and Aphromoo obviously had those amazing hooks, but super close to actually having one of every role.
Yeah, very much so. Now, to hear more about that victory that we just saw, let's send it over to Avli for an interview with the Gen.G bot laner.
Thanks, guys. I am here with Ruler, who just picked up his first win in groups with Gen.G. Now, as the returning champions, we were expecting a little bit of more dominance coming from the team. So why did it take until now to pick up that first win?
네, 첫 승 정말 축하드려요. 근데 사실 디펜딩 챔피언으로 돌아온 젠지한테는 좀 더 화끈하고 좀 압도적인 경기를 기대했는데 왜 첫 승까지 이렇게 오래 걸렸을까요?
일단 저희 팀원 형들은 어떨지 모르는데 제가 좀 긴장을 좀 많이 하고 좀 많이 플레이하면서 얼었던 것 같아요. 그래서 좀 더 많이 어렵게 가는 것 같아요, 게임들이.
So I'm not sure about the other players, but myself, I think I got too nervous and also I was shaky on stage, so I think that affected my plays.
Oh no, is there added pressure or maybe stress coming into Worlds as the defending champion?
그러면 디펜딩 챔피언으로 참가한다는 그런 의미가 더 많이 압박을 좀 가져온 것 같나요?
사실 그런 거에 대해서는 잘 압박을 받는 편은 아닌데 그냥 저도 모르게 긴장이 너무 많이 되더라고요.
Well, that usually doesn't really happen to me, but this time I got really too nervous. I don't know why.
What do you think you can do, or what can your teammates really do to kind of help you address those issues?
그러면 좀 긴장을 풀기 위해서 선수라든지 팀원들이 어떻게 좀 해결할 수 있을까요?
일단 긴장은 좀 저는 자연적으로 좀 해결되는 스타일이라서 그냥 시간이 약이다라고 생각하고 좀 기다렸던 것 같아요.
So I just waited till I feel like adjusted to the stage.
Well, you did play great today, but actually all of Korea has had a little bit of a slow start here at Worlds. Why do you think that is?
항상 근데 한국 팀들은 롤드컵에서 좀 슬로우 스타터적인 기질이 있잖아요. 그런 이유가 뭘까요?
솔직히 잘 모르겠는데 그냥 긴장을 좀 많이 해서 그런 것 같아요, 다들.
I don't really know why. I think they're all feeling so nervous before going into games.
Is there any advice that you would give your fellow Korean teams?
그러면 조언 한마디 긴장하지 말라고.
다들 잘하시니까 다들 긴장하지 마시고 다들 잘하실 거라고 믿습니다.
So I know you guys are such a great player, so don't get nervous on stage.
Well, Ruler, same advice goes to you. Thank you so much. And that's it for us here. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Avli. He himself felt nervous, felt the pressure. His advice to his fellow LCK players is not to get nervous. There's a lot of talk there about pressure, expectation, and living up to it for a former world champion.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure, not only when you win Worlds last year, but when your region has won 5 World Championships in a row.
And you're playing in that region.
Always beats each other in the finals. It's the expectation. Although, I'll take that pressure, honestly, of like, oh man, we win so much. We
right.
to win again. Not to discount from the fact that it does exist, but Korea, I think, bounced back today for Gen.G.
Yes, very much so. Picked up a couple wins today for Korea. If we pull up the standings, we see that Group B has RNG at 3-0 with a 3-way tie for second between Cloud9, Gen.G, and Vitality. Over in Group C, EDG and KT Rolster are tied at the top with Team Liquid and Mad Team both winless. Followed by Invictus Gaming leading Group D with 100 Thieves and Fnatic tied at 1-1. And Group A returns tomorrow.
I don't think I've ever gotten to look at the standings and see all of the LPL teams sitting on top. Now, I know KT Rolster and EDG are tied, so just happened to work out that way on the graphic, but that feels pretty good.
7-0 for the LPL. That's basically, I feel like Korea is the only region that has ever started that well. If they have, I'd have to check the stats.
If even that, yeah. We took a look at the regional standings yesterday. Let's take a look at the updated regional standings with today's games in the books. LPL 7-0, as you mentioned. RNG, of course, 3-0, leading the charge for that region. First off, is RNG an untouchable team?
I mean, I've said it pretty much all year long at MSI. I got behind them coming into Worlds. I said that I don't think And I'll say it again. I don't think in a Game 5 World Final, you beat RNG. I think that they are unbeatable when it comes to the super late game because of who their coaches are. Now, if they trip up before then, if maybe they fall down in the back half of the group stage, maybe take second, get knocked out into corners, then it turns different. But when it's a clutch moment, when they're under the spotlight, when it matters, I think RNG will turn it on and they're going to be the world champions.
RNG leading the pack at 3-0. The two other LPL teams, though, both undefeated as well. Jat, 7-0 for a region. Do the LPL teams just know how to play League of Legends better than anyone else? Did they figure it out?
It's super interesting to try and unpack why the dominance is happening the way it is. And I think there have definitely been some changes to the game that are beneficial to the LPL. If we think very macro style, the removal of Sightstone is one. The limiting of vision on the map and some of the nerfs to the trinket wards and things like zombie wards. So the darker the map is, the more you need to check with your character and the more fighting you're going to have. And I think the second contributor right now is, I think in previous World Championships, there were more safe blind picks. So a lot of times you would pick Orianna or Azir if it was up, and you're generally fine. Like, you're not going to lose that matchup very badly. But even the AD carry meta right now, like Kai'Sa versus Xayah, immediate skill matchup. Right? If Urgot is up and you're not sending two bans to the top lane, and Aatrox or an Urgot, that's another immediate skill test where if one player is better than the other player, you can take over the game through that. And I think mid lane can be a similar way, talking about Syndra and Aurelia. I think there's more of those things. So Korea's previous style of isolating the game to its core components and playing the map, that'll fall apart if you lose a lane. Right? And all of those lanes are skill tests every game.
I also think it's the importance around the monster objectives. The fact that there's more power in the jungle with the Scuttle Crab changes, there's more power in things like Double Elder, more power in the Barons in terms of its ability to close out game. And actually, you are going to team fight around those objectives. Jat already talked about the vision, the map is getting darker. It's now stacking these engage tools. So the way that the LPL teams have pretty much been trained to play the game is also, I think, one of the easiest ways. I think it's much harder to win in terms of like a big macro, playing different cross-map, communications, timings things, than it's just to say, okay, we're better players, we play the 51%, if it's a 50-50, I know I'm the better player, so I have the advantage, let's take the coin flip, because for me, I know I've already got it, and that's a lot of the mentality for the LPL players, they just go forward.
It's interesting. So yeah, my recollection of Korea in their most dominant state is that they outmaneuver their opponents, kind of as you mentioned.
And also usually have the best players in position too, right? So that's somewhere where they've always matched people,
right?
And then they outplay them in the other ones. But I think recently a lot of the LPL teams have taken it a little bit higher.
That's the other thing. I didn't want to touch it because I feel like it's quite a very strong statement. But, you know, think of a player like Ming, who kind of really made his breakout. Or let's go with someone like Mako. Now, Mako's having a bad year, but in the past, I think that Mako has been in a conversation of best support in the world, but he's denied that conversation because he doesn't play in the LCK. And so many people don't get to see him compete with kind of the rest of the best of the world. And you give it to LCK because they have been dominant for so long.
Right.
But there's so many players in the LPL. The region keeps getting larger and larger. It's going to expand to 20 teams by 2020. That means you have so much more talent pool to pick from. And the superior players are rising to the top. We not had just one super team like KT Rolster. We had two super teams in the LPL, and RNG and Invictus Gaming, and both of them showed up huge today on the world stage.
That only further elevates, though, the importance of tournaments like this, international tournaments where we get to see those regions finally go up against each other to help us with our barometer for which regions are the strongest, which players are the strongest at any given moment in competitive League of Legends.
Yeah, it's been an exciting Worlds to watch so far, and we've also seen this so many times. Even in like an MSI group stage, you'll see an LCK team struggle early. You'll start speculating on why it could be, and we're coming up with our hypothesis.
Right.
Right? This is my hypothesis on why China could be doing better. Or Korea was really nervous on the first 2 days, man.
Yeah.
And they're just going to turn.
They're going to hard smash the rest of the way through the tournament.
That's also a possibility. So we just got to watch and find out.
Tune in day 8. We might be eating our words. We return tomorrow with the Freak of Freaks versus Fongbu Buffalo in Game 1. Then G2 hope to knock Flash Wolves off their spot in first. Later on, G-Rex challenges Fnatic in Game 4 with KT Rolster versus EDG to close out the day. Any big ticket matchups that you guys are taking a look at for tomorrow?
Maybe the one where there's 2 undefeated teams. I'm not sure. It's pretty decent at the end of the day. EDG versus KT.
Nah.
The undefeated LPL versus the undefeated LCK team.
Yeah, that is a pretty sweet one.
TL versus Mad is also quite interesting. And the fact that Mad Gaming, I think, have been very surprising. TL, you know, they had some highs, they had some lows. I'm curious where the bounce back is going to be and if they're actually going to show the dominance that they showcase domestically on an international stage.
Interesting for different reasons.
Right,
I
I was gonna
completely
say.
agree.
Terrifying for some.
Because the 0-3 team is, I feel like, done for in that situation. Like, we have this thought in the back of our mind that, oh, you can go 0-3 and still make it out, which is technically correct because Fnatic did it last year after 0-4.
But it's only been done
But
one
realistically, I don't think that's a possibility, right? Because we've had it happen so many times. So the way Team Liquid played today, I think they would lose to Mad Team because not only were they kind of forcing teams to fight them, they were then missing all their ultimates in team fights. I don't think that's Team Liquid's standard level, so I hope they can get back to their standard level, then I think they'd win.
I'm going back to the KT EDG game.
Okay.
Does the LPL suffer their first loss tomorrow?
I mean, you would say absolutely. KT looked like a completely different animal in the S-Class alongside RNG, whereas Edward Gaming have really just scraped over the finish line on the back of some miracle performance plays by individual players. You know, it was iBoy in game number 1, it was Scout in game number 2. It hasn't been that collective, you know, on all cylinders. That said, it is against Deft, and JackeyLove has made some statements that he can't wait to just camp Deft's lane, so...
Yeah, if it happens, though, the murmurs of the LPL is definitely better are going to get a lot louder.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Right, just because KT is that remaining, you know, strong team for the LCK. All right, well, that's going to do it for us here today on day 3 of the group stages. So now for myself, the casters, the entire live broadcast crew, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for more Worlds 2018.
Welcome to Mad Team versus KT Rolster. It's an uphill battle from the start if you're Mad Team. You're playing against KT, the #1 seed.
Despite the performance of LCK's other 2 seeds, KT Rolster are still looking like clear favorites in this group.
Nuka looking for a flank. Pops the ulti, needs more Madai stacks. He's only got 14. Give the man some stacks. It's just too little, too late for the squad. As KT gonna take down the last kill, grab the ace, and polish off the game. TL versus EDG fighting for that second spot right now. Echo though with a follow-up pulse. Might turn it back around for EDG. They're going in for a scout with a massive shuffle. Follows into the Ornhorn. Ole gonna go down as well, and EDG somehow saved that fight. Lets the ulti rip. Everyone dives out of the opponent. Break up the 2-man knock, and Scout makes it look so sick. That's the ace for EDG. EDG will collect themselves yet another win. Ning is optimizing his path. Oh my god, JackeyLove!
I'm going on them. I'm going on clean.
Are trying to finish it up, but Ning, he gets the Baron. JackeyLove, oh my god, rookie. How dare you?
PK finally gets Aphromoo. Candy goes in, but Stitch with a killer instinct.
I got. Ready. I got. Holy shit.
Nice. 100 Thieves pick up their first win at Worlds and another win for North America. 30 seconds left on Baron. Blabber forced to flash for his life. The Nexus turret falls down. GenG stop focusing down the Nexus. They'll need a little bit more time. Here comes Cloud9. They need to interrupt. They need to stop the hit.
He's up.
Buster shot buys a little more, but Sneaky's left alone. 5 versus 1. GenG pick up their first win at Worlds. All eyes on Vitality because they are the ones that have to show us that they can challenge Royal Never Give Up. Now he's running for his life, chunked down low.
He got Uzi!
Catches onto Uzi! Josuke takes him down! Lemmy may win the 1v2. Lamb's spike comes down and Uzi gets caught, but Uzi does not get killed. He hops and skips and jumps and kills Vitality right where they stand.